Hello, horror lovers, welcome to our channel. If you enjoy that spine-chilling sensation before bed, you're in the right place. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is very important to me. Like the video, and don't forget to comment which city you're watching from. Leave your comment now because you'll probably fall asleep after this story. Your support helps us continue to bring you the best horror stories. Now turn off the lights, lie down, and prepare yourself for a night of nightmares. All because I stared at the pregnancy test, my hands trembling as two pink lines materialized, clear as day. Positive. The word echoed in my mind, a hammer shattering the fragile glass of my reality. No, I whispered, my voice barely audible in the small bathroom. This can't be right. I fumbled for my phone, nearly dropping it in my haste. The calendar app opened, and I scrolled back, searching for any encounter that could have led to this moment. Nothing. My last relationship had ended over 4 months ago, and since then, nothing. A wave of nausea hit me, and I clutched the edge of the sink, my knuckles white. The face in the mirror looked alien, pale, wide-eyed, a stranger wearing my skin. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to wake myself from this nightmare. But the test still sat there, mocking me with its impossible truth. I called my best friend, Sarah, my fingers shaking as I dialed. "Lisa, what's wrong?" Sarah's voice was thick with sleep. It was barely 6 a.m. I'm pregnant," I choked out, the words feeling foreign on my tongue. "What? How? I thought you and Mike broke up months ago." "We did," I said, sinking to the bathroom floor. "I haven't been with anyone since." "It's impossible, Sarah. I can't remember." There was a long pause on the other end. "Lisa, honey, are you saying... Do you think someone might have..." "I don't know," I cried, tears finally spilling over. "I don't remember anything, but how else could this happen?" Sarah's voice turned firm, grounding me. "Okay, first things first. We need to get you to a doctor. I'm coming over. We'll figure this out together, all right?" I nodded, forgetting she couldn't see me. "Okay," I managed to whisper before hanging up. The next few hours passed in a blur. Sarah arrived, her presence a lifeline in my storm of confusion and fear. She made calls, got me an emergency appointment at the local clinic, and held my hand as we waited in the sterile exam room. Dr. Anderson, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, entered with a clipboard and a concerned expression. "Lisa," she said gently, "I understand you're in a difficult situation. Can you tell me what's going on?" I recounted my story, or lack thereof, in halting sentences, my voice breaking. "The test says I'm pregnant, but I can't remember." Dr. Anderson nodded, her eyes full of compassion. "I see. Well, let's start with a blood test to confirm the pregnancy, and then we'll do an ultrasound to see how far along you might be. Is that okay?" I nodded mutely, and Sarah squeezed my hand as the doctor drew blood. An hour later, we were back in the exam room, the ultrasound machine humming ominously beside us. Dr. Anderson entered, her expression unreadable. "Lisa, the blood test confirms that you are indeed pregnant," she said carefully. The room spun, and I gripped the edge of the exam table. How is that possible?" "That's what we're going to try to figure out," Dr. Anderson replied. "Let's do the ultrasound and see what we can learn. Please lie back and lift your shirt." The cold gel on my stomach made me flinch. Dr. Anderson moved the wand slowly, her brow furrowed in concentration. The screen showed only fuzzy gray shapes, meaningless to my untrained eye. Suddenly, Dr. Anderson frowned. She adjusted some dials, moved the wand again. The frown deepened. "What is it?" I asked, my heart pounding. "What's wrong?" Dr. Anderson's voice was carefully neutral. "I'm having trouble getting a clear image. It's possible the equipment is malfunctioning. Let me try one more thing." She pressed a button and a rapid whooshing filled the room. It took me a moment to realize it should have been a heartbeat. Instead, the sound was off. arrhythmic, alien. Dr. Anderson quickly shut it off, her face pale. I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to get a clear reading today. Based on your hormone levels, though, you appear to be about 3 months along. 3 months? I gasped. That's impossible. I'm not even showing. The doctor's eyes met mine, and I saw a flicker of something I couldn't name. Fear? Confusion? Lisa, I'd like to refer you to a specialist. This pregnancy, it's not presenting typically. What does that mean? Sarah demanded, her arm protectively around my shoulders. Dr. Anderson chose her words carefully. It means we need more information. I'm going to make some calls, get you in to see Dr. Patel at Central Hospital as soon as possible. She's one of the best high-risk pregnancy specialists in the state. As we left the clinic, the Arizona sun felt too bright, too harsh. The familiar streets of our small town suddenly seemed sinister, hiding secrets in broad daylight. This doesn't make any sense, I murmured, hugging myself as we walked to Sarah's car. 3 months? I would know if something had happened, wouldn't I? Sarah's face was grim. Under normal circumstances, yes. But Lisa, we have to consider. Maybe something happened that you can't remember. Maybe someone drugged you or... No, I cut her off, unable to face that possibility. No, it has to be something else. A mistake. A false positive. Anything but that. That night I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw shadowy figures looming over me, felt phantom hands on my skin. I drifted off near dawn, only to be plunged into a nightmare landscape of twisting corridors and pulsing organic walls. In the dream I was running, my feet squelching on the damp floor. Something was chasing me, its breath hot on my neck. I could feel it gaining, reaching for me with inhuman appendages. Just as it was about to grab me, I woke up screaming, my sheets soaked in sweat and... something else. I scrambled out of bed, flicking on the light. The sheets were stained with a viscous, slightly iridescent fluid. I touched it, and it was slick between my fingers, unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Panicked, I stripped the bed, bundled the sheets into the washer, and scrubbed my hands until they were raw. When I returned to my room, heart still pounding, I froze in the doorway. The stains were gone. The mattress was dry, as if nothing had ever happened. I sank to the floor, wrapping my arms around my knees, and began to rock back and forth. This isn't real, I whispered to myself. This can't be real. But as the first light of dawn crept through my window, a terrible certainty settled in my bones. Whatever was happening to me, whatever was growing inside me, it was all too real. And it was only the beginning. Time stretched like an endless rubber band, each day blending into the next as my impossible pregnancy progressed far beyond the normal 9 months. I'd long since stopped going to Dr. Patel or any other medical professional. Their baffled expressions and hushed whispers only served to intensify my isolation. As I approached the 15-month mark, I stood before the full-length mirror in my bedroom, studying my distorted reflection. My belly, once flat and unremarkable, now protruded grotesquely, the skin stretched taut and marbled with angry purple veins. But it wasn't just my stomach that had changed. My entire body seemed alien. My skin had taken on a sickly greenish pallor, and my eyes... God, my eyes. The irises had expanded, nearly eclipsing the whites, and they seemed to shimmer with an unnatural, opalescent quality. "What are you?" I whispered, pressing a hand to my swollen abdomen. As if in response, something inside me shifted, and a wave of pain unlike anything I'd ever experienced ripped through my body. I collapsed to the floor, gasping and clawing at the carpet. It felt as if my insides were rearranging themselves, bones cracking and organs squelching as they moved in ways that defied all logic and anatomy. A scream tore from my throat, primal and raw. "Lisa? Lisa?" Sarah's voice, panicked, came from the other side of my locked bedroom door. She must have let herself in with the spare key. "What's happening? Let me in." I couldn't respond. couldn't even breathe as another spasm racked my body. Through tear-blurred eyes, I watched in horror as my stomach rippled, something pressing against the skin from the inside. For a moment I swore I saw the outline of a hand, but it had far too many fingers, each one ending in a wicked point. The door burst open, Sarah having finally managed to break the lock. She rushed to my side, her face paling as she took in my transformed appearance. "Oh my God," she breathed, reaching out a tentative hand. "Lisa, what's happening to you?" The pain subsided as quickly as it had come, leaving me panting and weak on the floor. "I don't know," I croaked. "It's changing me, Sarah. Whatever's inside me, it's not human." Sarah helped me to the bed, her movements cautious as if she was afraid I might shatter. "We need to get you help," she said firmly. "Real help. Not these small-town doctors who don't know what they're dealing with." I laughed bitterly. "And who exactly do you think can help me? You've seen how people look at me when I go outside. The whispers, the stares. They think I'm a freak, or worse." As if to emphasize my point, a rock suddenly crashed through my bedroom window, showering us with broken glass. Sarah rushed to the window, peering out into the twilight. "Who's there?" she shouted. "Show yourself, you cowards!" But whoever had thrown the rock was already gone, leaving only the echo of cruel laughter in their wake. Sarah turned back to me, her expression a mix of anger and concern. "You can't stay here," she said. "It's not safe. Come stay with me, at least for a while." I shook my head. "I can't put you in danger. Besides, I don't think I should be around people right now. Not when I don't know what's happening to me." Sarah opened her mouth to argue, but another spasm of pain cut off any further discussion. This time, the agony was accompanied by a strange sensation, as if something was probing my mind, sifting through my thoughts and memories like idle fingers through sand. When it passed, I found myself staring at my reflection in the broken shards of mirror on the floor. The face looking back at me was barely recognizable, gaunt with sunken cheeks and those alien eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. "I need to end this," I whispered, more to myself than to Sarah. "Before it's too late." Sarah's eyes widened in alarm. "Lisa, no, you can't mean—" "What choice do I have?" I cried, suddenly furious. "Look at me, I'm turning into a monster, and whatever's inside me, it's going to be even worse. I have to stop it while I still can." I stumbled to my feet, my distended belly throwing off my balance. With a surge of desperate energy, I grabbed a large shard of broken mirror from the floor. "Lisa, don't!" Sarah lunged for me, but I was faster, driven by fear and adrenaline. I raised the shard, its jagged edge glinting in the fading light. For a moment I hesitated, years of instinct screaming at me to protect the life growing inside me. But this wasn't life. It was an abomination. As I began to bring the makeshift blade down toward my stomach, something extraordinary happened. The air in the room seemed to thicken, becoming almost gelatinous. Sarah's shout of protest slowed, stretching out into an unintelligible drawl. And in my mind, a voice spoke, not in words exactly, but in concepts and emotions that somehow translated themselves into understanding. "Stop." The command froze me in place more effectively than any physical restraint. I couldn't move, couldn't even blink as the presence in my mind expanded. Not enemy, symbiosis, evolution, necessary. Images flashed through my consciousness. Stars exploding into being, planets forming, life crawling from primordial seas. I saw creatures beyond description, their existence so far beyond human comprehension that my mind struggled to process what I was seeing. Survival, adaptation, continuation. As suddenly as it had begun, the experience ended. Time snapped back into its normal flow, and I found myself on my knees, the mirror shard fallen forgotten to the floor. Sarah was kneeling beside me, her face etched with worry. "Lisa, can you hear me? What just happened?" I turned to her, my mind reeling from what I'd just experienced. It spoke to me. The thing inside me. It's not just a parasite, Sarah, it's something else. Something more. Sarah's brow furrowed. What do you mean? What did it say? I shook my head, struggling to put the alien concepts into words. It's hard to explain, but I think it needs me. And maybe in some way I don't understand yet, we need it too. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across my ruined bedroom, I placed a hand on my stomach. The creature inside me stirred, but this time the movement didn't bring pain. Instead, I felt a strange sense of purpose, and with it, a flicker of hope. Whatever happens, I said softly, meeting Sarah's concerned gaze, I have to see this through. For better or worse, this is my path now. Sarah nodded slowly, taking my hand in hers. Then we'll face it together, no matter what comes next. As night fell over our small Arizona town, I couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change, not just for me, but for all of humanity. The creature growing inside me was a harbinger of something vast and unknowable, and I, for reasons I couldn't yet fathom, had been chosen to bring it into the world. The glaring fluorescent lights of the local clinic made my skin crawl as I sat in the waiting room, my oversized hoodie doing little to conceal my grotesquely swollen abdomen. I'd finally gathered the courage to seek medical help again, desperate for answers or at least some relief from the constant alien sensations plaguing my body. Lisa Anders? A nurse called my name, her voice tinged with an emotion I couldn't quite place. Apprehension? Disgust? I struggled to my feet, feeling the weight of countless stares as I waddled towards the examination room. The nurse, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes named Margaret according to her name tag, gave me a tight smile that didn't reach those eyes. "How are you feeling today, Lisa?" she asked, her voice overly cheerful as she began taking my vitals. "I've been better," I replied dryly. "Any chance you've seen many 15-month pregnancies lately?" Margaret's smile faltered. I'm sure the doctor will be able to help you with your unique situation." As she wrapped the blood pressure cuff around my arm, her hand brushed against my skin. She recoiled as if burned, her eyes widening in shock. "Your skin," she gasped. "It's cold." I nodded grimly. And that's not even the strangest part. Before I could elaborate, Margaret hastily finished her tasks and practically fled the room, mumbling something about the doctor being in shortly. I sighed, used to this reaction by now. Minutes ticked by, stretching into nearly an hour before there was a tentative knock at the door. Instead of a doctor, however, it was Margaret who poked her head in, her face pale. "I'm so sorry, Ms. Anders, but I'm afraid we won't be able to see you today. Perhaps you could try the hospital in the next town over." Anger and desperation surged through me. "What? Why? I've been waiting for an hour." Margaret stepped fully into the room but kept her distance, fear evident in her eyes. "It's just, we're not equipped to handle your condition. I'm truly sorry." As she backed away, I caught a glimpse of myself in the reflection of a medical cabinet. My eyes were glowing faintly, an otherworldly light pulsing beneath my skin. No wonder she was terrified. Dejected and furious, I left the clinic, ignoring the whispers and stares that followed me. Outside, the Arizona sun beat down mercilessly, and I felt a moment of vertigo as the creature inside me recoiled from the heat. My phone buzzed, a text from my old friend Emily. We hadn't spoken much since my condition began, but her message sent a chill down my spine. "Lisa, we need to talk. Something's happening to me. Something like what you described. Please call me." With trembling fingers, I dialed her number. Emily answered on the first ring, her voice tight with panic. "Lisa? Oh, thank God. I didn't know who else to call." "Emily, calm down," I said, trying to keep my own voice steady. "What's going on?" I think I'm pregnant," she whispered. "But it's not normal. I can feel it moving, and it's only been a few weeks, and my skin, it's changing color, and my eyes." My blood ran cold. "Where are you?" "At home. I can't go outside like this. People will see." "I'm coming over," I said firmly. "Just hang on, okay?" I made my way to Emily's house as quickly as I could, keeping to back alleys and less populated streets. When she opened the door, I gasped. Emily's transformation wasn't as advanced as mine, but the signs were unmistakable. The slight green tinge to her skin, the enlarged, shimmering eyes. "Oh, Em," I breathed, pulling her into a hug. She stiffened at first, then melted into the embrace, sobbing. "What's happening to us?" she choked out. I led her to the couch, my mind racing. "I don't know, but we're going to figure it out." "When did this start? Can you remember anything unusual happening?" Emily's brow furrowed in concentration. I'm not sure. There was a night, about a month ago. I was driving home late from work, and then nothing. I woke up in my bed the next morning thinking I'd just had a weird dream, but after that things started changing. "A missing time experience," I mused. "Just like mine. Emily, I think we need to look into this more deeply. There has to be a pattern, a reason why this is happening to us specifically." We spent the next few hours scouring the internet, looking for similar cases or any information that might shed light on our situation. As the sun began to set, we'd compiled a disturbing amount of data, reports of mysterious pregnancies, unexplained physical changes, and most chillingly, a higher than average number of missing persons in our area over the past year. "Lisa," Emily said, her voice quavering, "do you think... could this be some kind of experiment? Or an invasion?" Before I could answer, a sharp pain lanced through my abdomen. I doubled over, gasping as images flooded my mind. Sterile rooms, strange instruments, shadowy figures with impossibly long fingers. "Lisa, what's wrong?" Emily cried, reaching for me. As she touched my arm, her eyes went wide, and I knew she was seeing the same things. We were connected somehow, our experiences linked by whatever force had changed us. When the vision faded, we stared at each other in stunned silence. Finally, Emily spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're not just inside us, are they? They're changing us, making us into something new." I nodded grimly. "And I don't think we're the only ones. There must be others, maybe all over town. We need to find them, to understand what's really going on." A movement outside the window caught my eye. A figure stood on the sidewalk, watching the house. As I peered closer, the stranger seemed to notice my attention. For a brief moment, I could have sworn their eyes glowed in the twilight before they turned and walked briskly away. "Did you see that?" I asked Emily, but when I turned back to her, she was staring at her phone in horror. "Lisa, look at this." She handed me the device. On the screen was a local news article. "String of mysterious disappearances continues. Residents urged to stay vigilant." "We're not alone," I said, a mix of fear and determination settling over me. "And whoever, or whatever, is behind this, they're not done yet." Emily nodded, her face set in grim resolve. "So what do we do now?" I stood, feeling the weight of the creature inside me shift. "We find answers. We find others like us. And we prepare. Because I have a feeling this is just the beginning of something much bigger than we can imagine." As night fell over our small town, Emily and I began to plan. Whatever was growing inside us, whatever changes we were undergoing, we were now at the center of a mystery that threatened to shatter everything we thought we knew about our world. And ourselves. The soft glow of my laptop screen illuminated the darkened living room as I hunched over it, my eyes burning from hours of intense research. Emily dozed fitfully on the couch beside me, her hand protectively cradling her slightly swollen belly. The clock on the wall ticked past 3 a.m., but sleep was the furthest thing from my mind. I scrolled through yet another conspiracy theory website, my heart racing as I read accounts that eerily mirrored our own experiences. Alien abductions, hybridization programs, government cover-ups. It all seemed absurd, and yet, oh my God, I breathed, my fingers freezing over the keyboard. There, in a grainy photo uploaded by an anonymous user, was an image that made my blood run cold. A woman, her stomach distended and mottled with the same strange vein-like patterns that marked my own skin. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light of what looked like a laboratory setting. Emily stirred, roused by my sharp intake of breath. "Lisa, what is it? Did you find something?" I turned the screen towards her, watching as her eyes widened in recognition and fear. It's like looking in a mirror," she whispered. "There's more," I said, scrolling down to reveal a series of rambling posts by the photo's uploader. This person claims to have been part of a secret government project involving extraterrestrial genetic manipulation. They say it's been going on for decades all over the world. Emily sat up, fully awake now. "But why? What's the purpose?" I shook my head, frustration mounting. That's where it gets vague. Something about preparing humanity for some kind of change. An evolution, maybe? Or an invasion? It's not clear. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with an incoming message. The number was blocked, and the text contained only a string of seemingly random numbers and letters. "What the hell?" I muttered, showing the message to Emily. Her brow furrowed in concentration. "Wait a second, Lisa. I think this might be coordinates. And a time." My heart raced as I plugged the numbers into a mapping app. "It's an address. An old warehouse on the edge of town. The time is set for tomorrow night." Emily and I exchanged a look of mingled fear and determination. "It could be a trap," she said cautiously. I nodded. "Or it could be our only chance at getting some real answers." We spent the next day preparing, gathering supplies, and trying to come up with a plan. As the appointed time drew near, we made our way to the warehouse, keeping to the shadows and back alleys to avoid prying eyes. The building loomed before us, a hulking silhouette against the starry desert sky. My skin crawled with an eerie sensation, as if the thing inside me could sense we were close to something. "I don't like this," Emily whispered as we approached a side door. "It's too quiet." I reached for the handle, surprised to find it unlocked. "Stay close," I murmured, pushing the door open with a creak that seemed deafening in the stillness. The interior was pitch black, our flashlights cutting thin beams through the darkness. We moved cautiously, our footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, and banks of lights flickered to life, revealing a scene that defied belief. The warehouse had been converted into a high-tech laboratory, filled with equipment I couldn't begin to comprehend. And there, suspended in glowing tanks along one wall, were beings, not quite human, not quite alien, but something in between. "Oh my God," Emily gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Before I could respond, a voice spoke from behind us. "Fascinating, isn't it?" We whirled around to find a man in a lab coat watching us, his expression unreadable. He looked to be in his 50s with graying hair and piercing blue eyes that seemed to look right through us. "Who are you?" I demanded, instinctively stepping in front of Emily. "What is this place?" The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "My name is Dr. Elliot Prescott, and this, ladies, is the future of humanity." He gestured around the lab. "You've both been chosen for something extraordinary. The beings growing inside you are the result of decades of research, the pinnacle of human and extraterrestrial genetic engineering." Emily's voice shook as she spoke. You did this to us? Why?" Dr. Prescott's eyes gleamed with a fervor that sent chills down my spine. "Because our world is dying. Climate change, overpopulation, resource depletion. We're on the brink of collapse. But these hybrids, they're adapted to survive in conditions that would kill an ordinary human. They're our species' only hope for long-term survival." I felt rage building inside me, hot and fierce. "So you just decided to use us as incubators? Without our consent?" The doctor at least had the decency to look somewhat abashed. I understand your anger, but you have to understand the stakes. This is about the survival of our entire species." As he spoke, I felt a strange sensation in my mind, a presence that wasn't my own. The hybrid inside me was reacting to something, trying to communicate. Danger, lies, escape. The alien thoughts crashed through my consciousness with an urgency I couldn't ignore. I grabbed Emily's hand, backing away from Dr. Prescott. "You're not telling us everything," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "What's the real purpose of these hybrids?" The doctor's facade cracked just for a moment, and I saw something dark and hungry in his eyes. "You're more perceptive than I gave you credit for. It's true, there's more to our arrangement with our extraterrestrial benefactors, but I'm afraid I can't allow you to leave with that knowledge." He pressed a button on a device in his pocket, and alarms began to blare throughout the facility. The sound was painful, reverberating through my body in a way that felt deliberately targeted at the hybrid inside me. "Run!" I shouted to Emily, pulling her towards the exit. As we fled, I caught glimpses of other figures emerging from the shadows. More hybrids, their bodies twisted and changed in ways that defied description. Some looked almost human, while others were clearly more alien than anything I'd ever seen. We burst out of the warehouse into the cool night air, gasping and disoriented. Behind us, I could hear shouts and the sound of pursuit. "We can't go home," Emily panted as we ran. "They'll find us there." I nodded, my mind racing. "I know somewhere we might be safe, at least for a while. An old bunker my grandfather built during the Cold War. It's not far from here." As we made our way through the desert night, the enormity of what we'd discovered began to sink in. This wasn't just about us anymore. Whatever was growing inside us, whatever plans these scientists and their alien allies had, it threatened the entire human race. "Lisa," Emily said as we finally reached the hidden entrance to the bunker, "what are we going to do?" I looked up at the star-filled sky, feeling the weight of impossible choices pressing down on me. "We're going to find others like us. We're going to learn everything we can about these hybrids and what they're really capable of. And then..." I met her gaze, seeing my own determination reflected there. "Then we're going to decide the fate of 2 species." As we descended into the bunker, sealing the entrance behind us, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd just taken our first steps into a war that had been raging, unseen, for longer than we could imagine. And somehow, improbably, we now found ourselves at its very center. The truth hit me like a freight train as I paced the confined space of my grandfather's old bunker. The realization that I was part of an experiment to create a new species left me reeling, my mind struggling to process the enormity of it all. "Lisa, you need to sit down," Emily urged, her voice tinged with concern. "You're going to wear a hole in the floor." I stopped abruptly, turning to face her. "How can you be so calm? We just found out we're incubating alien hybrids as part of some twisted science experiment." Emily's hand instinctively went to her slightly swollen belly. "Trust me, I'm far from calm, but panicking isn't going to help us figure this out." She was right, of course. I took a deep breath, trying to center myself. As I did, I felt a strange sensation. The hybrid inside me seemed to respond, a wave of calm washing over me. It's trying to communicate again," I murmured. Emily's eyes widened. "What's it saying?" I shook my head, frustrated. "It's not words exactly, more like feelings, impressions. Right now it's trying to reassure me, I think." A loud bang from above made us both jump. Someone was at the bunker's entrance. "They found us," Emily whispered, panic creeping into her voice. I motioned for her to be quiet, straining to hear. Multiple footsteps moved across the ground above us, accompanied by muffled voices. "Must be here somewhere. The tracker shows." My blood ran cold. They had been tracking us somehow. But how? As if in answer, I felt a sharp pain in my abdomen. The hybrid was reacting to something, trying to warn me. Danger, removal, escape. The alien thoughts crashed through my mind with startling clarity. Suddenly, I understood. "Emily," I hissed. "They put something in us. A tracker. That's how they're finding us." Her face paled. Can we get it out?" Before I could answer, the bunker's entrance creaked open. We scrambled for cover, hiding behind some old storage crates as footsteps descended the metal staircase. Come out, wherever you are," a sickeningly familiar voice called. Dr. Prescott. "We know you're down here. There's nowhere left to run." I exchanged a terrified glance with Emily. We were trapped. Suddenly, an idea struck me. It was risky, potentially suicidal, but it was our only chance. I closed my eyes, focusing all my concentration on the hybrid entity within me. "Help us," I thought desperately. "If they take us, we'll both die." Please. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a surge of energy unlike anything I'd ever experienced coursed through my body. My skin began to glow faintly, emitting a soft, pulsing light. "What the hell?" I heard one of Prescott's men exclaim. Taking advantage of their confusion, I stepped out from behind the crates. Emily tried to grab my arm, but I shook her off, striding forward to face our pursuers. Dr. Prescott's eyes widened as he took in my transformed appearance. "Extraordinary," he breathed. "The integration is progressing faster than we ever imagined." "This ends now," I said, my voice resonating with a power that wasn't entirely my own. "You will leave us alone." Prescott laughed, but there was a nervous edge to it. "And why would we do that? You're the key to everything we've been working towards." I raised my hand, feeling the energy building within me. "Because if you don't, I'll bring this whole place down on our heads. Are you willing to risk losing your precious experiments?" To demonstrate, I focused the energy towards a support beam. It creaked ominously, the metal warping under the intense heat. Prescott's men began to back away, fear evident on their faces. But the doctor stood his ground, his expression a mixture of awe and calculation. "You don't understand what's at stake here," he said. "The future of humanity is not yours to decide," I cut him off. "Now go. This is your only warning." For a tense moment, I thought he might refuse. Then slowly, he nodded. "This isn't over," he said as he backed towards the stairs. "You can't run forever." As soon as they were gone, the energy drained from me and I collapsed to my knees. Emily rushed to my side, supporting me as the room spun. "Lisa, that was incredible," she said. "How did you do that?" I shook my head, still trying to process what had happened. "I'm not sure. I just asked for help, and it responded." Emily helped me to a nearby cot. "We can't stay here," she said. "They'll be back, and with reinforcements next time." I nodded wearily. "You're right, but first we need to get these trackers out." Emily's face paled. "How? We can't exactly go to a hospital." I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I knew we had to do. "We'll have to do it ourselves. There's a first aid kit in here somewhere. It won't be pleasant, but it's our only choice." The next hour was a blur of pain and determination as we worked to remove the tiny devices we found embedded just under our skin. It was excruciating, but the hybrids within us seemed to help, dulling the pain and accelerating our healing. As dawn broke, we emerged from the bunker, battered but free. The desert stretched out before us, vast and unforgiving. "Where do we go now?" Emily asked, her voice small in the face of our uncertain future. I squared my shoulders, feeling a new resolve settle over me. "We find others like us. There have to be more out there, confused and scared, not understanding what's happening to them. We help them, and together, we figure out what these hybrids really are and what they want." Emily nodded, a flicker of hope in her eyes. And then, I looked out at the horizon, where the first rays of sunlight were painting the sky in brilliant hues. "Then we take the fight back to Prescott and whoever he's working for." We expose their experiments, their lies, and we make sure they never hurt anyone else again. As we set off into the desert, I felt the hybrid within me stir. There was a sense of anticipation, of potential waiting to be unlocked. Whatever lay ahead, whatever challenges we would face, I knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The dawn of a new era was upon us, and we were at its epicenter. The fate of two species now rested in our hands, and I was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. The abandoned clinic on the outskirts of town loomed before us, a decrepit sentinel in the gathering dusk. Emily and I exchanged nervous glances before approaching the building, our footsteps crunching on gravel and broken glass. "Are you sure about this, Lisa?" Emily whispered, her hand protectively cradling her swollen belly. I nodded grimly. "We don't have a choice. Whatever's inside us, it's growing faster than we anticipated. We need to know what we're dealing with." The door creaked ominously as we pushed it open, revealing a dusty reception area bathed in the eerie glow of emergency lights. We had managed to restore minimal power to the building earlier in the day, preparing for this moment. As we made our way to the examination room, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The hybrid within me stirred uneasily, sending waves of apprehension through my body. "Okay," I said, trying to keep my voice steady as I gestured to the examination table. "Who's going first?" Emily paled but squared her shoulders. "I will. Better to get it over with." As she lay down on the table, I powered up the old ultrasound machine we had scavenged. My hands trembled as I applied the gel to Emily's stomach and pressed the wand against her skin. For a moment, there was nothing but static on the screen. Then suddenly an image flickered to life. What I saw made my blood run cold. "Oh my God," I breathed. Emily craned her neck to see the screen. "What is it? What do you see?" I struggled to find words to describe the impossible shape taking form within her. It's not human, Em. Not even close." The creature on the screen pulsed and shifted, its form seeming to defy the laws of biology. Multiple limbs, far too many for any earthly fetus, writhed in a hypnotic dance. And its head? I swallowed hard, fighting back nausea. "Lisa," Emily's voice was tight with fear. "Talk to me, please." I tore my eyes away from the screen to meet her gaze. "It's unlike anything I've ever seen. I don't think we can carry these to term, Em. It'll kill us." As if in response to my words, a searing pain ripped through my abdomen. I doubled over, gasping, as the hybrid within me thrashed violently. Emily struggled to sit up. "Lisa, what's wrong?" Through gritted teeth, I managed to choke out, "It's angry. It knows what we're thinking." The pain intensified, and I felt a warm trickle down my legs. Looking down, I saw blood, my blood, pooling on the floor. "We need to get these things out of us," I panted. "Now." Emily's eyes widened in horror. "But how? We can't exactly go to a hospital." I stumbled to a nearby cabinet, rifling through its contents until I found what I was looking for: a scalpel. "We do it ourselves." "Are you insane?" Emily cried. "We can't perform surgery on ourselves." But as another wave of pain washed over me, I knew we had no choice. It's either this or we let these things tear us apart from the inside. With shaking hands, I sterilized the scalpel as best I could. Emily watched, her face a mask of terror and resolve. "I'll go first," I said, lying back on the table. "If something goes wrong, run. Find help. Expose what they've done to us." Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face as she took the scalpel from me. "I'm so sorry, Lisa. I don't know if I can do this." I grabbed her hand, squeezing it tightly. "You have to. We both do. It's our only chance." Taking a deep breath, I guided the scalpel to my distended belly. "Do it." The pain was excruciating as the blade bit into my flesh. I screamed, my back arching off the table, but something strange was happening. As my blood flowed, it began to shimmer with an otherworldly light. "Lisa," Emily gasped. "Your blood. It's glowing." Before I could respond, a new sensation overwhelmed me. It felt as if my entire body was dissolving, reforming on a molecular level. The hybrid within me was changing me. Through the haze of pain and transformation, I heard Emily cry out. Looking over, I saw her experiencing the same phenomenon. Her skin rippled and shifted, taking on an iridescent sheen. "What's happening to us?" she managed to choke out. I shook my head, unable to form words as the change accelerated. It felt as if every cell in my body was being rewritten, optimized, evolved. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The pain vanished, replaced by a sense of power and clarity unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Slowly, I sat up, marveling at the absence of any wound where I'd cut myself. My skin was smooth, unblemished, with a faint luminescence that pulsed in time with my heartbeat. Emily stared at me in awe. "Lisa, your eyes." I caught my reflection in a nearby mirror and gasped. My eyes were now a swirling mix of colors, constantly shifting and changing like some alien kaleidoscope. "We're different," I said, my voice resonating with a new timbre. "The hybrids, they've changed us." Emily examined her own transformed body. "But why? What does this mean?" Before I could answer, a noise from outside caught our attention. Car doors slamming, voices approaching. "They've found us," I hissed, suddenly aware of enhanced senses that allowed me to pinpoint the intruders' locations. Emily's eyes widened in fear but then narrowed with determination. "What do we do?" I stood, feeling a surge of power course through my new body. "We fight. And then we find answers." As the door burst open, revealing Dr. Prescott and a team of armed men, I felt the hybrid consciousness within me merge fully with my own. In that moment, I understood that this was just the beginning of a transformation that would reshape not just us, but the entire world. "Gentlemen," I said, my voice carrying an otherworldly resonance that made the intruders pause. "I'm afraid you're too late. The experiment is over. A new phase has begun." With a gesture, I sent a wave of energy that knocked the men off their feet. Emily, catching on quickly, did the same. As we made our escape into the night, leaving behind a group of stunned and terrified humans, I couldn't help but feel a mix of exhilaration and dread. We had survived the birthing process, but at what cost? What had we truly become? One thing was certain, our journey was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. The cool night air whipped around us as Emily and I raced through the darkened streets of our small Arizona town. Our newly transformed bodies moved with an inhuman grace and speed, easily outpacing our pursuers. "Lisa," Emily called out, her voice carrying a newfound resonance. "Where are we going?" I skidded to a halt, my enhanced senses scanning our surroundings. "There," I pointed to a nondescript government building at the end of the street. "I can sense something important in there." As we approached the building, I placed my hand on the electronic lock. To my surprise, the mechanism sparked and the door swung open. "How did you do that?" Emily gasped. I shook my head, equally amazed. "I'm not sure. It's like I can communicate with technology now." We slipped inside, finding ourselves in a sterile corridor lined with unmarked doors. My instincts, now intertwined with the alien consciousness within me, led us deeper into the facility. "This way," I whispered, guiding Emily towards a heavily secured door at the end of the hall. As we approached, alarms began to blare. Red lights flashed, bathing the corridor in an eerie glow. "Intruder alert! Secure all classified areas," a robotic voice announced over the intercom. "Lisa, we need to get out of here," Emily urged, panic edging into her voice. But I was transfixed by the door before us. Without thinking, I placed both hands on its surface, feeling the hybrid energy within me surge outward. The door's complex locking mechanism began to glow, then melt under my touch. With a groan of protesting metal, it swung open, revealing a sight that took our breath away. The room beyond was massive, filled with artifacts and technology that defied description. Floating in containment fields were objects that seemed to bend reality around them, and at the center of it all stood a massive stone archway, covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as we watched. "What is this place?" Emily breathed, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. Before I could answer, a voice spoke from behind us. "This, ladies, is where it all began." We whirled around to find Dr. Prescott standing in the doorway, flanked by armed guards. But instead of the anger or fear I expected to see on his face, he looked triumphant. "I must admit," he said, stepping into the room, "you've exceeded our wildest expectations. The integration is complete, far sooner than we anticipated." I felt anger surge through me, my hands beginning to glow with barely contained energy. "You did this to us. You turned us into the future of humanity," Prescott finished, his eyes gleaming with fervor. "Don't you see? This was always the plan. We needed vessels strong enough to survive the transformation, to bridge the gap between human and something more." Emily's voice shook as she spoke. "But why? What's the purpose of all this?" Prescott gestured to the artifacts around us. "Humanity has been stagnant for too long. We've reached the limits of our potential. But with this technology, salvaged from crashes and archaeological digs over the centuries, we can evolve. We can become something greater." I shook my head, struggling to process the implications. "So all those alien abduction stories, the conspiracy theories, all true in their way?" Prescott nodded. "We've been preparing for this moment for generations, and now, thanks to you, we're ready for the next phase." He turned to the stone archway, pressing a series of symbols. The air within the arch began to shimmer and distort. "This is a gateway," he explained, "to the home world of our benefactors. They've been waiting a very long time for us to be ready." As the portal stabilized, a figure began to emerge. Tall, impossibly thin, with skin that seemed to shift and change like liquid metal. Its eyes, large and entirely black, fixed upon us with an intelligence that felt ancient and alien. I felt the hybrid part of me respond, a surge of recognition and longing. The alien spoke, its voice resonating directly in our minds. "The integration is complete. You have done well, Prescott." Emily grabbed my hand, her grip tight with fear. "Lisa, what's happening?" I squeezed back, trying to project a calm I didn't feel. I think we're about to meet our makers." The alien turned its gaze to us, and I felt the weight of eons in its stare. "You are the first," it said, "the harbingers of a new age for your species. Through you, humanity will transcend its limitations and join us among the stars." Prescott stepped forward, his face alight with an almost religious fervor. "You see, this is what we've been working towards, a chance to save our species, to become something greater than we ever imagined." But something felt wrong. The hybrid part of me was recoiling, sending waves of warning through my body. "No," I said, my voice stronger than I expected. "This isn't right. You're not here to help us evolve. You're here to conquer us." The alien's form seemed to ripple, its facade of benevolence slipping for just a moment. In that instant I saw the truth. The countless worlds they had uplifted, only to assimilate and discard once they had taken what they needed. "Lisa," Emily whispered, "we need to stop this. Now." I nodded, feeling power building within me. Together, as one, Emily and I raised our hands, channeling the hybrid energy that now coursed through our veins. The alien let out a shriek that shattered glass and sent Prescott and his men to their knees. The portal began to destabilize, the edges of the archway cracking and crumbling. The alien lurched towards us, its form twisting into something nightmarish, but our combined power held it at bay. "No!" Prescott screamed, lunging for the control panel. "You don't understand what you're doing. This is our only chance." But it was too late. With a final surge of energy, Emily and I shattered the archway. The backlash sent us all flying, and for a moment the world went dark. When I came to, the room was in ruins. The alien was gone, banished back to wherever it had come from. Prescott lay unconscious among the debris, his dreams of transcendence lying in pieces around him. Emily groaned, sitting up beside me. Did we win? I looked around at the destroyed artifacts and technology, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. For now, but something tells me this is just the beginning. As sirens wailed in the distance, we helped each other to our feet. Whatever came next, whatever we had truly become, one thing was clear. The fate of humanity now rested in our hands, and we had a lot of work to do. The sun had barely risen over the horizon when Emily and I slipped back into town, our transformed bodies easily blending into the early morning shadows. As we made our way down Main Street, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. "Lisa," Emily whispered, her newly enhanced senses on high alert. "Do you notice anything off about the people?" I nodded grimly, watching as our neighbors shuffled about their morning routines with an eerie synchronicity. Their movements were too precise, their eyes vacant and glassy. "They're not themselves," I murmured. "It's like they're puppets." A chill ran down my spine as I realized the implications. The alien influence hadn't just affected us, it was spreading throughout the town. We ducked into an alley as Mrs. Henderson, our usually chatty postal worker, walked by. Her face was a blank mask, her steps mechanical. "We need to figure out how far this has spread," I said, my mind racing. "And we need to find anyone who hasn't been affected yet." Emily nodded, her eyes scanning the street. "But how do we know who to trust?" As if in answer, we heard a crash from a nearby house, followed by a very human cry of frustration. Exchanging a quick glance, we made our way to the source of the noise. Peering through a window, we saw Jimmy, a local teenager, frantically packing a bag. His movements were erratic, panicked, a stark contrast to the eerie calm of the others we'd seen. I tapped lightly on the glass, causing Jimmy to jump and whirl around. His eyes widened in recognition, and after a moment's hesitation, he opened the window. "Lisa? Emily? What the hell is going on?" he hissed, his voice trembling. "Everyone's acting weird, and my parents, they tried to take me to some kind of processing center this morning." "It's a long story," I said, glancing around to ensure we weren't being watched. "But right now, we need to get you out of here. You're not safe." Jimmy didn't need to be told twice. He climbed out the window, his backpack slung over one shoulder. As we made our way through back alleys and side streets, I filled Jimmy in on the basics of our situation. His face paled as he listened, but to his credit, he didn't panic. "So, you're like, part alien now?" he asked, eyeing us warily. Emily smiled grimly. "Something like that. But we're still us, Jimmy. We're trying to stop this invasion, or whatever it is." We reached the old bomb shelter on the outskirts of town, a relic from the Cold War that most people had forgotten about. It seemed as good a place as any to regroup and plan our next move. As we descended into the musty interior, I felt a familiar presence brush against my mind. The hybrid consciousness within me was restless, sensing the proximity of others like us. "There are more," I said, my voice echoing in the confined space. "More people who've been changed, like us. I can feel them." Emily nodded, her eyes distant as she focused on the alien part of herself. "I sense them too. They're scared, confused. We need to find them before Prescott's people do." Jimmy looked between us, a mixture of awe and fear on his face. "So what's the plan? How do we save the town? Hell, how do we save the world?" I took a deep breath, trying to organize my thoughts. "First, we need to understand exactly what's happening to the townspeople. Then we need to find a way to reverse it, or at least stop it from spreading further. And we need to gather allies," Emily added. "There must be others out there fighting this thing. We can't be the only ones who've figured it out." As if on cue, a noise from above made us all freeze. Footsteps, multiple sets, approaching the shelter's entrance. "Did anyone follow us?" Jimmy whispered, panic edging into his voice. I shook my head, focusing my enhanced senses on the newcomers. What I felt made my heart race with a mixture of hope and apprehension. "They're like us," I said softly. "Hybrids, but different somehow." The shelter door creaked open, and we tensed, ready for a fight. But the figures that descended the stairs weren't enemies. They were survivors like us, changed, but still human at their core. The leader, a tall woman with silver-streaked hair and eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light, stepped forward. "I'm Diana," she said, her voice carrying the same otherworldly resonance as ours. "We've been tracking hybrid signatures across the country. When we felt your presence here, we came as fast as we could." I studied her face, seeing the same mix of determination and fear that I felt. "How many of you are there?" 12 in our group," Diana replied. "But there are others. Pockets of resistance forming all over. The aliens. They underestimated humanity's will to survive." Emily stepped forward, hope kindling in her eyes. "So there's a chance? We can fight this?" Diana's expression turned grim. "It won't be easy. The aliens have been planning this for centuries. They've infiltrated every level of government, every major institution. What's happening in your town? It's just the beginning." Jimmy, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Wait, I just remembered something. Before my parents went all invasion of the body snatchers, they mentioned something about a big event. Something happening tonight at the town hall." I felt a chill run down my spine. "The next phase of their plan." Diana nodded. "We've seen it in other towns. They gather everyone together, ostensibly for a community meeting. But it's really a mass conversion," I finished, the hybrid part of me providing the knowledge. "They're going to try to change everyone at once." Emily's fists clenched, energy crackling around her fingers. "We have to stop it." "We will," I said, a plan already forming in my mind. "But first, we need to understand exactly what we're capable of. Diana, can you and your people help us harness these abilities?" Diana smiled, a fierce light in her eyes. "That's why we're here. You two," she gestured to Emily and me. "You're different from the rest of us. Stronger. You might be the key to turning this whole thing around." As Diana's group settled into the shelter, beginning to set up equipment and share information, I felt a surge of something I hadn't experienced in a long time. Hope. We had a long way to go, and the odds were stacked against us. But looking around at this unlikely group of humans and hybrids, I knew we had a fighting chance. "All right," I said, my voice carrying the weight of our shared purpose. "Let's get to work. We've got a town to save, and after that, we've got a world to reclaim." As we began our crash course in hybrid abilities and alien technology, I couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of a much larger battle. But for the first time since this whole ordeal began, I felt ready to face whatever came next. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and we were the last line of defense. It was time to show these aliens that they had picked the wrong species to mess with. The old bomb shelter thrummed with an otherworldly energy as Diana led us through a series of exercises designed to hone our hybrid abilities. Sweat beaded on my forehead as I focused on levitating a small metal sphere, my hands trembling with the effort. "Good, Lisa," Diana encouraged. "Now try to feel the molecular structure. See if you can reshape it." I closed my eyes, reaching out with my mind to sense the atomic bonds holding the sphere together. Slowly, painfully, I felt them begin to shift and reorganize. When I opened my eyes, the sphere had transformed into a perfect cube. "Incredible," Emily breathed beside me, her own practice object, a wooden block, now sprouting delicate, leafy vines. Jimmy watched us with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "This is insane," he muttered, "like actually insane." Diana turned to him with a gentle smile. It may seem that way, Jimmy, but this is our reality now, and it might just be what saves us all. A commotion at the shelter's entrance interrupted our training session. Two of Diana's people burst in, supporting a third between them. The injured hybrid was pale, his skin mottled with an angry, pulsing rash. "What happened?" Diana demanded, rushing to examine him. "We were scouting the town hall," one of the hybrids, a young woman named Zara, explained breathlessly. "They've set up some kind of energy field. When Marcus got too close, it did something to him, started reverting him back." A chill ran down my spine. "They're trying to undo the hybrid transformation?" Diana's face was grim as she examined Marcus. "Not exactly. This looks more like corruption. They're trying to bring hybrids under their control." Emily stepped forward, her hands glowing softly. "Let me try something." As we watched, she placed her palms on Marcus's chest. The angry rash began to recede, the hybrid's color returning to normal. "How did you do that?" I asked, amazed. Emily shook her head, looking as surprised as the rest of us. "I'm not sure, I just felt what was wrong and tried to fix it." Diana's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "Your abilities are evolving faster than any of us anticipated. This could be the edge we need." A loud bang from above made us all jump. Heavy footsteps echoed through the shelter's entrance. "They've found us," Zara hissed, her body tensing for a fight. I exchanged a quick glance with Emily. We nodded in silent agreement and stepped forward, our hands raised and crackling with energy. The shelter door burst open and a squad of black-clad soldiers poured in, weapons raised. But these weren't ordinary humans. Their movements were too fluid, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "Hybrid enforcers," Diana spat. "They've turned some of us to their side." The lead enforcer, a tall man with a shock of white hair, stepped forward. His voice, when he spoke, carried the same resonance as ours, but with a cold mechanical edge. "By order of the Ascension Council, you are all to surrender immediately for processing. Resistance will be met with lethal force." I felt a surge of defiance rise within me. "We're not going anywhere with you." The enforcer's eyes narrowed. "Then you leave us no choice." What happened next was chaos. The enforcers opened fire, but their energy weapons seemed to have little effect on us. Our hybrid physiology combined with Diana's training made us formidable opponents. I found myself moving with inhuman speed and grace, deflecting energy blasts and retaliating with bursts of my own power. Beside me, Emily was a whirlwind of energy, her abilities seeming to grow stronger with each passing moment. But it was Jimmy who surprised us all. As an enforcer cornered him, the teenager's eyes suddenly blazed with light. A shockwave of pure sound erupted from his mouth, sending the attacker flying across the room. "Holy shit," Jimmy gasped, looking as shocked as the rest of us. "Did I just do that?" There was no time to marvel at this new development. The fight raged on, the close quarters of the shelter making it a desperate, chaotic struggle. Just when it seemed we might be overwhelmed, I felt a surge of power unlike anything I'd experienced before. The hybrid consciousness within me expanded, connecting with Emily's and then, astoundingly, with every other hybrid in the room, friend and foe alike. In that moment of unity, I saw flashes of the Enforcer's memories, their fears, their doubts, the process that had turned them into puppets of the alien overlords, and I knew what I had to do. "Emily!" I shouted over the din of battle. "Connect with me! We can break their conditioning!" She nodded, grabbing my hand. Together, we focused our combined will on the Enforcers, pushing past their mental barriers and into the core of their beings. "Remember who you are," I projected, my voice echoing in their minds. "You're human. You can fight this." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Enforcers began to falter. Their eyes cleared, confusion and then horror dawning on their faces as they realized what they'd been doing. The white-haired leader was the last to break free. He fell to his knees, his weapon clattering to the floor. What have we done?" he choked out. As the dust settled, Diana approached us, her eyes wide with amazement. "That was unprecedented. You two might be more powerful than we ever imagined. Emily squeezed my hand, her voice trembling slightly. Lisa, do you think... could we use this to save the whole town? I nodded slowly, the magnitude of what we'd just discovered sinking in. Maybe. But it won't be easy. And we'll need everyone's help. Jimmy stepped forward, a determined set to his jaw. Count me in. Whatever this sound thing I can do is, I want to use it to help. Diana began issuing orders, organizing our now larger group into teams. We need to move fast. The town hall event is tonight, and we can bet they'll be ready for us now. As we prepared to leave the shelter and face whatever awaited us in town, I couldn't shake a feeling of both excitement and dread. We had a chance, a real chance, to stop this invasion. But the cost could be higher than any of us were prepared to pay. Everyone ready? I asked, looking around at our ragtag group of hybrids and humans. Nods and murmurs of assent answered me. Emily squeezed my hand once more, her eyes meeting mine with a mixture of fear and determination. Let's go save the world, she said softly. As we ascended the shelter stairs and emerged into the fading daylight, I knew that whatever happened next would change everything. The fate of our town, our world, and perhaps our entire species hung in the balance, and we were the only ones who could tip the scales. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple as our group made its way through the eerily quiet streets of our once familiar town. Every shadow seemed to hide a potential threat, every darkened window a silent observer of our desperate mission. Something's not right, Emily whispered, her enhanced senses on high alert. It's too quiet, I nodded, feeling the same unease. They're gathering everyone at the town hall. We need to hurry. As we rounded the corner onto Main Street, the town hall came into view. A crowd had already formed outside, their movements unnaturally synchronized as they filed into the building. Diana's voice crackled over the comm units we'd salvaged from the shelter. Team Alpha, are you in position? Affirmative, came the reply from Zara, who was leading a group to secure the perimeter. No sign of external security measures yet, but we're detecting some kind of energy field around the building. That must be what affected Marcus earlier, I mused. We'll need to be careful. Jimmy, who had insisted on coming despite our reservations, fidgeted nervously beside me. So what's the plan? We just walk in there and... what? Start zapping people back to normal? Emily shook her head. It's not that simple. We need to find the source of their control and shut it down. Then maybe we can use our abilities to reverse the effects on a larger scale. As we approached the town hall, I felt a familiar presence brush against my mind. The alien consciousness within me stirred, providing flashes of insight. There, I said, pointing to a van parked near the building's rear entrance. That's not just a vehicle. It's some kind of mobile command center. Diana nodded. Good eye. Lisa, Emily, you two focus on infiltrating that van. The rest of us will create a diversion and try to evacuate as many unaffected people as we can find. We split up, my heart pounding as Emily and I made our way towards the van. As we got closer, I could feel the energy emanating from it, a sickening pulse that set my teeth on edge. Ready? Emily asked, her hand poised over the van's door handle. I took a deep breath, channeling power into my fingertips. Ready. The moment we opened the door, all hell broke loose. Alarms blared, and a wave of energy burst outward, nearly knocking us off our feet. Inside, we found a nightmare of alien technology, pulsing organic matter intertwined with sleek metal components. And there, at the center of it all, was Dr. Prescott. Ah, our prodigal experiments return, he said, his voice carrying an inhuman resonance. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and his skin seemed to ripple and shift. You're just in time for the next phase of human evolution. This isn't evolution, I spat. It's enslavement. Prescott laughed, the sound grating and unnatural. Oh, Lisa, always so short-sighted. Can't you see? This is the only way for humanity to survive what's coming. Emily stepped forward, her hands crackling with energy. What are you talking about? What's coming? For a moment, Prescott's facade cracked and I saw a flicker of genuine fear in his eyes. The void. It consumes all, and it's heading for Earth. Our benefactors, they're the only ones with the technology to save us. I felt a chill run down my spine as alien memories flooded my mind. Glimpses of a cosmic horror beyond imagination, of worlds snuffed out in an instant. But at what cost? I demanded, fighting to stay focused. Losing everything that makes us human? Prescott's expression hardened. A small price to pay for survival. And you two, you were supposed to be the vanguard, the perfect hybrids to lead humanity into its new era. He reached for a control panel, but Emily was faster. A burst of energy from her hand sent Prescott flying across the van, crashing into a tangle of alien tech. "Now, Lisa!" Emily shouted. "Shut it down!" I placed my hands on the central console, feeling the alien machinery pulse beneath my touch. Closing my eyes, I reached out with my hybrid senses, searching for a way to disrupt the signal controlling the townspeople. But as I delved deeper, I felt something push back, a vast, ancient intelligence that dwarfed my own. "You cannot stop what has already begun." A voice resonated in my mind. "Your world is but one of many. Its loss is inconsequential in the face of the coming void." Images flooded my consciousness, countless worlds teeming with life, all connected by a web of alien technology. And behind it all, a darkness that defied description, slowly devouring everything in its path. "Lisa!" Emily's voice seemed distant, muffled. "Whatever you're seeing, fight it. We need you here." With a supreme effort of will, I pushed back against the alien presence. "You're wrong," I growled, both aloud and in my mind. "Every world matters, every life matters, and we'll find a way to stop the void without sacrificing who we are." I felt something shift within the machinery, a resonance building between my hybrid DNA and the alien tech. With a final surge of energy, I sent a pulse through the system. The van's interior erupted in a cascade of sparks and smoke. Outside, we heard cries of confusion and alarm as the townspeople suddenly found themselves free from alien control. "You've doomed us all," Prescott coughed, struggling to his feet. "Without their protection, we'll be defenseless when the void arrives." I shook my head, a new determination filling me. "No, we'll find another way. A human way." As we emerged from the van, we found chaos in the streets. People were panicking, confused and frightened by what they'd experienced. But among the crowd, I saw Diana and the others, already working to calm people and organize an evacuation. "Lisa, Emily," Jimmy came running up, his face flushed with excitement. "It worked. Whatever you did in there, it broke their control." Emily smiled, but it was tinged with sadness. "We won this battle, but the war, it's so much bigger than we imagined." I nodded, my mind still reeling from the visions I'd seen. "We need to warn everyone, the whole world. There's something coming, something worse than this invasion." As sirens wailed in the distance and the first news helicopters appeared on the horizon, I knew our lives would never be the same. We had saved our town, but in doing so, we had stumbled upon a threat that endangered not just humanity, but all life in the galaxy. "What do we do now?" Jimmy asked, his earlier bravado replaced by uncertainty. I looked at Emily, seeing my own resolve mirrored in her eyes. "We prepare. We learn everything we can about our new abilities, about the alien tech, and we find a way to stop the void without losing our humanity in the process." As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across our changed world, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger story. One in which the fate of not just Earth but countless worlds would hang in the balance. And somehow, improbably, we found ourselves at the center of it all. The frigid night air bit at my skin as our group crept towards the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. My distended belly made every step a challenge, the inhuman life within me squirming restlessly. I caught Mike, our de facto leader, glancing back at me with concern. "You sure you're up for this, Sarah?" he whispered, his breath visible in the moonlight. I nodded, gritting my teeth against another wave of discomfort. "I have to be. We're out of options." Our ragtag band of resistors huddled behind a rusted dumpster, eyeing the seemingly ordinary building that concealed horrors beyond imagination. Months of investigation had led us here, to the hidden entrance of the alien base beneath our once peaceful town. Lisa, my childhood friend and fellow abductee, squeezed my hand. "Whatever happens in there, we're in this together." I managed a weak smile, grateful for her unwavering support through this nightmare. Mike signaled and we moved. The lock on the side door was no match for Jake's lock-picking skills, a talent we'd all been surprised to discover our mild-mannered librarian possessed. As the door creaked open, an eerie blue glow spilled out, confirming our suspicions. This was no ordinary warehouse. "Remember the plan," Mike whispered as we entered. "Find the control room, shut down their systems, and get out. No heroics." If only it were that simple. The interior of the warehouse was a facade, quickly giving way to sleek, otherworldly architecture. Corridors pulsed with an unnatural light, and the air hummed with energy that made my skin crawl. As we descended deeper into the complex, the alien presence grew stronger, resonating with the life inside me in a way that made me nauseous. We encountered our first guardian at a junction of corridors, a grotesque fusion of machine and flesh that defied description. Its misshapen head swiveled towards us, lifeless eyes suddenly blazing with awareness. "Intruders detected," it growled, its voice a discordant mix of human and synthetic tones. "Sterilization protocol initiated." "Run!" Mike yelled, already firing his salvaged alien weapon. The blast of energy struck the creature, momentarily stunning it. We sprinted past, the sounds of pursuit echoing behind us. The alien architecture seemed to shift and change as we ran, corridors melding and splitting in dizzying patterns. "This way!" Lisa shouted, yanking me down a side passage. The others followed, and we found ourselves in a vast chamber filled with pulsating, organic-looking pods. Each one contained a human form in various stages of horrific transformation. "Oh God," Jake whispered, his face pale. "Is this what they're planning for all of us?" I stepped closer to one of the pods, my heart racing as I recognized the face within, Mrs. Johnson, my old high school teacher. Her features were twisted, skin mottled with an iridescent sheen. I stumbled back, overwhelmed by the scale of the aliens' plans. A klaxon blared, red light bathing the chamber. We'd been detected. "We need to move," Mike urged, ushering us towards another exit. "The control room has to be close." As we pressed on, the entity inside me grew more agitated. Each step became a battle against the alien life trying to claw its way out. I stumbled, crying out in pain. Lisa caught me, her eyes wide with fear. "Sarah, what's wrong?" It's coming," I gasped, clutching my stomach. I can't stop it." Mike swore under his breath. "We don't have time for this. Jake, help me carry her. We're almost there." They hoisted me up, half carrying, half dragging me through the twisting corridors. The pain was excruciating, unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It felt like my insides were being rearranged, my very DNA rewritten with each contraction. We burst into a cavernous room dominated by a pulsing crystalline structure. Holographic displays flickered in an alien language, and at the center stood a being unlike any we'd encountered, tall, willowy, with eyes that held the depth of galaxies. "You've come far, humans," it spoke directly into our minds. "But your journey ends here." Mike raised his weapon, but with a mere gesture, the alien sent it flying across the room. Jake and Lisa fell to their knees, clutching their heads in agony. I collapsed to the floor, the pain of my alien labor overwhelming me. "Your species' resistance is admirable," the alien continued, gliding towards us, "but ultimately futile. You are merely the raw material for our evolution, the next step in universal consciousness. Through a haze of pain, I saw Mike struggle to his feet. We'll never submit, he growled. This is our world, our future. The alien's laughter reverberated through our skulls. Your limited perspective blinds you to the glory of our vision. Allow me to enlighten you. A wave of psychic energy washed over us. Visions of stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling across countless worlds, the vast tapestry of the cosmos, all flooded our minds. I saw the aliens' dying homeworld, the desperation that drove them to seek out new life to assimilate and evolve. In that moment of connection, I felt the entity inside me pulse with recognition. The barrier between us thinned and I realized the truth. This child, this hybrid, was the key to everything. With a primal scream, I pushed, not just physically, but mentally. I reached out to the hybrid consciousness within me, no longer fighting against it but embracing it fully. Pain and ecstasy intertwined as our minds merged, human and alien becoming one. The alien leader stumbled back, surprise evident in its ethereal features. Impossible, it whispered. The merger. It's complete. I rose to my feet, power coursing through me. The others watched in awe as my body shimmered, taking on an otherworldly glow. When I spoke, my voice resonated with newfound authority. You're right. Resistance was futile, but not in the way you imagined. With a thought, I accessed the alien systems, the hybrid DNA in my veins acting as the perfect key. Alarms blared as I initiated a cascade of shutdowns, turning the base's defenses against its creators. The alien leader snarled, launching a psychic assault. But where once it would have overwhelmed me, I now stood firm. Our minds clashed in a battle beyond physical comprehension, the fate of two species hanging in the balance. Sarah? Lisa's voice cut through the psychic storm. Sarah, are you still in there? I turned to my friends, seeing the fear and hope warring in their eyes. With effort, I pushed my humanity to the forefront. I'm here, I assured them. And I know what we need to do. As the alien base crumbled around us, I opened a portal using technology that moments ago I hadn't even known existed. This will take us to safety, I explained. But first, I faced the alien leader, our minds still locked in combat. Your way is finished, I declared. But your knowledge, your essence, it doesn't have to be lost. Understanding dawned in those ancient eyes. With a final, cosmic sigh, the alien consciousness flowed into me, merging with the hybrid amalgam I had become. Let's go, I said to my awestruck companions. We have a world to save and a new future to build. As we stepped through the portal, leaving behind the crumbling remnants of the alien base, I felt the weight of two civilizations within me. Human and alien, present and future, all intertwined in a cosmic dance of possibility. The hybrid child within me stirred, no longer a parasite, but a partner. Together, we would bridge the gap between worlds and forge a path to the stars. Our journey was just beginning. The alien control room pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its crystalline structures casting prismatic light across the faces of my bewildered companions. I stood at the center, my body racked with pain as the hybrid child within me fought to emerge. The merging of our consciousnesses had begun, and I could feel my grip on reality slipping. Sarah, Lisa's voice cut through the haze of agony. Stay with us. I turned to her, seeing the fear etched on her face. Mike and Jake hovered nearby, their expressions a mix of concern and awe. I don't know if I can stop this, I gasped, doubling over as another contraction hit. Mike stepped forward, his hand hovering uncertainly over my shoulder. What's happening to you? Before I could answer, a surge of alien thoughts flooded my mind. Images of distant worlds, incomprehensible technologies, and the vast expanse of space flashed before my eyes. I cried out, overwhelmed by the influx of information. She's connecting to the alien network, Jake realized, his eyes wide. Sarah, can you control it? I gritted my teeth, trying to focus through the pain and mental chaos. I think so. But it's like trying to drink from a fire hose. Lisa moved closer, her voice gentle but urgent. Sarah, listen to me. We need to use this connection to stop the alien invasion. Can you access their systems? Nodding, I reached out with my mind, feeling the vast network of alien technology surrounding us. It was like touching an electric current, raw power coursing through my veins. I gasped as I made contact with the base's central computer. I'm in, I breathed, my voice taking on an otherworldly resonance. But there's so much. I don't know where to start. Mike's tactical mind kicked in. Look for their defense systems. If we can shut those down, we might have a chance against the mothership. I delved deeper into the alien network, my human consciousness struggling to interpret the flood of data. Suddenly, I felt a shift within me. The hybrid child was helping, its developing mind acting as a bridge between human and alien thought patterns. I found it, I announced, my eyes glowing with an eerie light. Initiating shutdown sequence. The room trembled as distant explosions rocked the base. Alarms blared and the crystalline structures pulsed with angry red light. Jake looked around nervously. I hope that was supposed to happen. I nodded, sweat beading on my forehead from the effort of maintaining the connection. The defense grid is offline, but there's more. I can see the mothership. It's massive. Through our shared vision, I projected an image of the alien craft into the minds of my companions. They gasped in unison, the sheer scale of the threat becoming clear. How can we possibly fight that? Lisa whispered, her voice tinged with despair. I probed deeper into the alien database, searching for answers. As I did, I felt the hybrid child's consciousness pressing against my own, eager to join the search. With a mix of fear and determination, I lowered my mental barriers. The merging was like nothing I could have imagined. One moment I was Sarah, scared and confused. The next I was something more, a being of two worlds, with knowledge spanning galaxies. The pain of labor faded, replaced by a sense of profound connection. Sarah? Mike's voice seemed to come from a great distance. Are you okay? Your eyes? I blinked, realizing that my vision had changed. I could see not just with my eyes, but with senses I had no names for. The room, my friends, even my own body, all seemed simultaneously familiar and alien. I'm here, I assured them, my voice layered with harmonics. And I'm more. I understand now. Lisa stepped forward, her face a mix of worry and hope. Understand what? Everything, I breathed. The aliens, their plan, their weaknesses, and I know how we can stop them. I turned my attention back to the alien systems, my hybrid mind interfacing seamlessly with the technology. Information flowed through me like a river, and I directed it with newfound precision. The mothership's reactor, I explained, my fingers dancing over holographic displays only I could see. It's powered by a form of energy the aliens call quintessence, highly unstable but incredibly powerful. Jake's scientific curiosity overcame his fear. Like dark energy? I nodded. Similar, but artificially concentrated. If we can destabilize it, the whole ship would go up, Mike finished, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Exactly, I confirmed, but it won't be easy. We'll need to get aboard the mothership. Lisa shook her head in disbelief. How are we supposed to do that? We can barely handle this base, let alone their main ship. I smiled, a plan forming in my hybrid mind. We'll use their own technology against them. This base has a matter transportation system, similar to teleportation. I can reconfigure it to get us aboard. As I spoke, I was already making the necessary adjustments through my mental link. The room hummed with building energy, and a shimmering portal began to form near the far wall. Mike eyed it warily. Are you sure about this, Sarah, once we're up there? We'll be in the heart of their operation, I finished, but it's our only chance to end this invasion before it begins. I could see the doubt in their eyes, the fear of the unknown, but beneath that I sensed their determination, the human spirit that had carried us this far. "I know I'm asking a lot," I said softly. "I'm not even sure what I am anymore, but I do know that I can't do this alone. Will you trust me?" There was a moment of tense silence. Then Lisa stepped forward, taking my hand. "Always," she said firmly. Jake nodded, adjusting his glasses. "Well, I didn't survive alien abduction just to back out now." Mike hefted his weapon, a grim smile on his face. "Let's go kick some alien ass." Relief and gratitude washed over me. Despite my transformation, despite the otherworldly power now coursing through me, their unwavering support meant everything. As we prepared to step through the portal, another contraction hit me, a reminder that the hybrid child was still very much a part of me. But now, instead of fear, I felt a sense of partnership. Whatever challenges awaited us on the mothership, we would face them together, human, alien, and everything in between. "Remember," I cautioned as the portal's energy enveloped us, "things will be different up there. The aliens will be stronger, more numerous. But so are we. Stay close and trust your instincts." With a final shared look of determination, we stepped into the swirling vortex. The alien base dissolved around us, replaced by a rush of cosmic energy. For a breathless moment, we existed between worlds. And then, with a flash of light, we materialized in the heart of the alien mothership. As our eyes adjusted to the cavernous space of the ship's main chamber, I felt the hybrid child's excitement mingling with my own apprehension. The final battle for Earth's future was about to begin, and we were the planet's last, best hope. "Let's finish this," I said, my voice resonating with human determination and alien power. Together we stepped forward into the unknown, ready to rewrite the fate of two species and forge a new destiny among the stars. The alien mothership's central chamber was a marvel of otherworldly engineering. Vast and cavernous, it pulsed with an eerie bioluminescence that cast everything in a soft, bluish glow. As our small group materialized from the teleportation vortex, we found ourselves on a raised platform overlooking a hive of alien activity below. "My God," Jake whispered, his eyes wide behind his glasses. "It's like a city in here." I nodded, my hybrid senses taking in far more than my human companions could perceive. "This ship isn't just a vessel," I explained, my voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. "It's their mobile homeworld." Mike crouched low, his salvaged alien weapon at the ready. "Great. So instead of sneaking onto a ship, we've basically invaded their country." "Stay focused," I reminded them, fighting against a wave of disorientation as my merged consciousness adjusted to our new surroundings. "We need to find the main reactor." Lisa placed a steadying hand on my shoulder. "Sarah, are you all right? You look different." I caught a glimpse of my reflection in a nearby crystalline structure. My eyes glowed with an inner light, and faint, iridescent patterns had begun to form on my skin. The changes were accelerating. "I'm fine," I assured her, even as I felt the hybrid child's consciousness pushing more insistently against my own. "But we need to move quickly. They know we're here." As if on cue, alarms began to blare throughout the chamber. The alien activity below shifted from ordered productivity to frenzied defense preparations. "So much for the element of surprise," Mike grumbled. "What's the plan?" I closed my eyes, reaching out with my hybrid senses to interface with the ship's systems. A mental map of the vessel formed in my mind. "The reactor is 3 levels down," I said, pointing to a nearby access shaft. "That's our target." We moved swiftly, using the confusion below to our advantage. The access shaft was a twisting, organic-looking tube that seemed to shift and pulse as we descended. Jake looked distinctly queasy by the time we emerged onto a lower level. "I think I preferred elevators on Earth," he muttered. "Hold up," Mike warned, gesturing ahead. A group of alien guards blocked our path, their bodies a disturbing fusion of biological and mechanical components. Before anyone could react, I stepped forward, raising my hand. Drawing on the alien knowledge now flowing through me, I sent out a focused pulse of psychic energy. The guards stumbled, their movements becoming erratic. "What did you do to them?" Lisa asked, her voice a mix of awe and concern. "Temporary neural disruption," I explained, hurrying past the incapacitated aliens. "It won't last long, come on." We raced through winding corridors, the ship's architecture becoming increasingly complex and alien. At last, we arrived at a massive set of doors, thrumming with barely contained energy. "This is it," I announced. "The reactor chamber." Jake examined the door's locking mechanism, his face falling. "I don't suppose your new alien powers include a universal key?" I smiled, placing my hand against the cool metallic surface. "Something like that." Concentrating, I let the hybrid DNA in my veins interface with the ship's systems. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a series of clicks and whirs, the massive doors began to slide open. The reactor core was a sight beyond human comprehension. A swirling vortex of energy, simultaneously liquid and gaseous, contained within a complex array of fields and barriers. Its light pulsed in time with the ship's heartbeat, filling the chamber with a low, thrumming resonance. "Okay, we're here," Mike said, his voice tense. "Now what?" Before I could answer, a new voice echoed through the chamber, not spoken but transmitted directly into our minds. "Curious creatures," it mused. "So small, yet so persistent." From the shadows emerged a being unlike any we'd encountered. Tall and ethereal, with eyes that held the depths of galaxies, it radiated an aura of ancient power and intelligence. "The Overseer," I breathed, recognizing the entity from the merged memories in my mind. The alien leader regarded us with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "You've come far, little ones, but your journey ends here. The assimilation of your world is inevitable." Mike raised his weapon, but with a mere gesture, the Overseer sent it clattering across the floor. "Your primitive tools are useless here," it admonished, "as are your limited minds." I stepped forward, feeling the hybrid child's presence grow stronger within me. Not all of us are so limited anymore. The Overseer's eyes widened in surprise as it truly perceived me for the first time. "Impossible. The merger. It's complete." "That's right," I said, my voice carrying newfound authority. "I understand now. I see the beauty of your vision, the desperation that drives you. But I also see its flaws." The alien leader's form shimmered, its composure slipping. "You cannot comprehend the scope of our plans. Millennia of evolution, of searching the cosmos, all leading to this moment. I comprehend more than you know," I countered. "Your race is dying. This assimilation, this conquest, it's a last, desperate attempt at survival. But it doesn't have to be this way." As I spoke, I felt my consciousness expanding, reaching out to touch the minds of every being on the ship. Human and alien alike, I could sense their fears, their hopes, their fundamental desire for continuity. The Overseer recoiled, its mental defenses crumbling under the onslaught of my hybrid mind. "What are you doing? Stop this at once." But I pressed on, driven by a vision of possibility that transcended both human and alien understanding. "There's another way. A true merger, not of conquest, but of cooperation. Imagine what we could achieve together." My friends watched in awe as my body began to glow, the hybrid child within me lending its strength to my efforts. The reactor's energy responded, its chaotic swirling beginning to synchronize with the pulse of my hybrid DNA. "Sarah?" Lisa called out, her voice tinged with worry. "What's happening to you?" I turned to them, my eyes shining with otherworldly light. "I'm becoming what I was always meant to be, a bridge between two worlds." The Overseer stumbled back, its form flickering as it struggled against the tide of change. "You'll doom us all," Our way is the only way. No, I said firmly. It's time for something new. With a final push of will, I reached out to the reactor core. The swirling vortex of quintessence responded, its energy flowing into me, through me, and back out to suffuse the entire ship. Alarms blared as systems overloaded, but this was no destruction. Instead, it was transformation. Throughout the vessel, aliens and humans alike gasped as new understanding bloomed in their minds. The Overseer fell to its knees, overwhelmed by the psychic tsunami. "What have you done?" "I've given us all a choice," I explained, my voice echoing with the power of two species combined. A chance to evolve together, to forge a new path among the stars. As the energy wave spread beyond the ship, racing towards Earth and out into the cosmos, I felt the hybrid child shift within me. It was time. "Lisa," I called out, reaching for my friend's hand. "I need your help. The baby. It's coming." As the mothership shuddered around us, caught in the throes of an evolution beyond imagination, I prepared to bring a new life into a changed universe. Human and alien, Earth and stars, all would be forever altered by what we had set in motion. The future, vast and unknowable, beckoned. And we would face it together. The alien mothership shuddered violently, its structure groaning under the strain of the massive energy surge I had initiated. Alarms blared in an otherworldly cacophony, adding to the chaos that now engulfed us. In the reactor chamber, my friends huddled around me as I collapsed to the floor, the first true contractions of labor racking my body. "Sarah," Lisa cried, cradling my head. "Hold on, we'll figure this out." Mike stood guard, his eyes darting between us and the chamber entrance. "We need to move. This whole place could come down around us." I gritted my teeth against the pain, my hybrid senses overwhelmed by the conflicting inputs of human childbirth and alien technology in flux. "No, we can't leave. Not yet." Jake knelt beside me, his scientific curiosity warring with concern. "What's happening to the ship? To the aliens?" Through the haze of pain, I reached out with my consciousness, tapping into the vast network of the mothership systems. It's evolving, changing. The energy wave is rewriting their very essence. As if to confirm my words, a group of alien crew members burst into the chamber. But instead of attacking, they stumbled about in confusion, their forms flickering between their original appearance and something new, more harmonious with human physiology. The Overseer, who had collapsed earlier, now rose unsteadily to its feet. Its once imposing form seemed diminished, more vulnerable. "What have you done to us?" it demanded, its mental voice a mix of anger and fear. I managed to sit up, supported by Lisa, and faced the alien leader. "I've given your people a chance at true survival, not through conquest, but through cooperation and mutual evolution." The Overseer's eyes, still swirling with galactic depth, narrowed. "You presume to decide the fate of our entire species? You, a mere..." Its words were cut off as another violent tremor shook the ship. Cracks began to appear in the chamber walls, and the reactor core's swirling energy grew more erratic. "We need to stabilize the core," Jake shouted over the din, "or this whole ship is going to tear itself apart." I nodded, gritting my teeth as another contraction hit. I can do it, but I need help." To everyone's surprise, it was the Overseer who stepped forward. "Tell me what to do," it said, its tone now one of resigned cooperation. "Link with me," I instructed, reaching out both physically and mentally. Our combined consciousness should be enough to regulate the energy flow. As the Overseer's cool alien hand grasped mine, I felt our minds merge. The sensation was indescribable, millennia of alien knowledge and experience flooding into me, while my human perspective and emotions flowed into the Overseer. Together, we reached out to the reactor core, our hybrid consciousness interfacing directly with the ship's systems. Meanwhile, Lisa helped me through the increasingly intense contractions, while Mike and Jake worked to stabilize the chamber, using debris to shore up weakening walls. That's it, Sarah, Lisa encouraged. You're doing great. Just breathe through it. The next few minutes were a blur of pain, concentration, and sheer force of will. As my body worked to bring new life into the world, my mind grappled with forces beyond human comprehension, struggling to contain and redirect the massive energies threatening to tear the mothership apart. Suddenly, with a final tremendous effort, two things happened simultaneously. The reactor core stabilized, its wild fluctuations settling into a steady, controlled pulse, and my hybrid child entered the world with a blinding flash of light. The cry that filled the chamber was like nothing any of us had ever heard. Part human wail, part alien harmonic. It resonated with the very fabric of the ship around us. As Lisa helped clean and wrap the infant, I stared in awe at the tiny being we had created. Its skin shimmered with faint, iridescent patterns, and its eyes, when they opened, held the same galactic depth as the Overseer's. "It's beautiful," Lisa whispered, handing me the child. The Overseer, our minds still linked, shared in my wonder. "Extraordinary," it breathed, "a true bridge between our species." As I held my child, I felt a surge of protective love, but also a profound sense of responsibility. This infant represented the future, not just for me or for Earth, but for two entire species, and perhaps the galaxy itself. Our moment of peace was short-lived, however. The chamber doors burst open again, this time admitting a group of human soldiers led by a stern-faced general. "By authority of Earth's united governments," the general announced, leveling a weapon at us, "this vessel is now under our control. All aliens are to surrender immediately." Mike stepped forward, placing himself between the soldiers and our group. "Stand down, General. You have no idea what's really going on here." The general's eyes narrowed. "Stand aside, civilian. These aliens invaded our world. They need to answer for their crimes." I struggled to my feet, still cradling my newborn. "General, please. The situation has changed. There's so much you need to understand." The soldier's eyes widened as he took in my altered appearance and the clearly hybrid infant in my arms. "What in God's name?" Before the situation could escalate further, the Overseer stepped forward. With a gesture, it created a holographic display filling the chamber, showing scenes from around the ship and on Earth below. "Behold," it said, its voice echoing with newfound humility, "the new reality we must all face." The images showed aliens and humans working together, their forms in various stages of merger. Advanced technology was being adapted to heal Earth's environment. And in orbit, the mothership was transforming, its structure opening up like a massive flower, ready to dock with the planet below. "The invasion you feared is over," I explained, my voice carrying the weight of two species' understanding. "But so is life as we knew it. We stand at the threshold of a new era, one of cooperation, of shared evolution." The general lowered his weapon, his face a mask of confusion and awe. How can we trust this, after everything that's happened?" I stepped forward, gently placing my hybrid child in the general's arms. He stiffened at first, then relaxed as the infant cooed, reaching up to touch his face with a tiny, shimmering hand. "This is our future," I said softly. "Human and alien, Earth and stars, all intertwined. We can fear it, fight it, or embrace it and grow beyond our wildest dreams." For a long moment, the chamber was silent, save for the gentle hum of the stabilized reactor core. Then, slowly, the general handed my child back to me and lowered his weapon completely. I need to report this to my superiors," he said, his voice unsteady. "The world needs to know." I nodded, feeling a wave of relief and hope. "Yes, they do, and we'll face whatever comes next together." As the general and his soldiers withdrew to make their report, I turned back to my friends and the Overseer. The chamber, so recently a scene of chaos and conflict, now felt like the birthplace of a new cosmic order. "What now?" Jake asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. I looked down at my child, then out at the holographic display still showing the merging of two worlds. "Now," I said, my voice filled with determination and wonder, We build a bridge to the stars. The overseer nodded, its form now stabilized into something neither fully alien nor human, but beautifully in between. Together, it agreed. As we stood there, an unlikely group of humans, aliens, and hybrids, I felt the first true stirrings of a united future. The challenges ahead were enormous, the changes to come beyond imagination. But in that moment, cradling the living embodiment of two species' hopes and holding the hands of friends both earth-born and star-faring, I knew that we were ready to face whatever the cosmos had in store. The invasion was over. The evolution had begun. The dust settled on a changed world, quite literally. As we emerged from the mothership, now docked on the outskirts of what used to be my hometown, we were greeted by a landscape transformed. The impact of the ship's landing had reshaped the area into a vast crater, filled with a mix of terrestrial soil and alien technology that pulsed with an otherworldly glow. I stood at the edge of the ship's main exit ramp, my hybrid child cradled in my arms, taking in the surreal scene before us. Lisa, Mike, and Jake flanked me, their expressions a mix of awe and trepidation. The overseer, now more of an ally than an enemy, hovered nearby. "It's beautiful," Lisa whispered, her eyes wide as she took in the merged landscape. Mike, ever the pragmatist, scanned the horizon with a wary eye. Beautiful, maybe. But how are people going to react to this? As if in answer to his question, we spotted a group of figures approaching from the direction of the town. As they drew closer, I could make out a mix of local residents, some appearing fully human, others showing signs of the alien influence that had swept through during our confrontation on the ship. "Sarah?" a familiar voice called out. It was Mrs. Thompson, my old neighbor. Her skin now had a faint iridescent sheen, and her eyes held a depth that hadn't been there before. "Is that really you?" I stepped forward, acutely aware of how strange I must look to them now. "It's me, Mrs. Thompson. A lot has changed, but I'm still Sarah." The small crowd murmured among themselves, a mix of fear, curiosity, and hope evident in their voices. "What happened to us?" someone called out. "To the town? To everything?" I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on my shoulders. "It's a long story," I began. "But the short version is this. We've entered a new era. Humanity and the aliens who came here, we're evolving together now." The overseer floated forward, its presence causing a ripple of unease through the crowd. "Your world is not being conquered," it assured them, its mental voice gentle. "It is being reborn." A man stepped forward, his face contorted with anger. "Reborn! Look at us! Look at what you've done to our home!" I recognized him as Mr. Grayson, the town's most vocal skeptic and conspiracy theorist. The irony of his current situation wasn't lost on me. "I know it's scary," I said, trying to keep my voice calm and reassuring. "But this change, it's not just physical. It's opening up new possibilities for all of us, new understanding." As if to emphasize my point, my hybrid child chose that moment to coo softly, reaching out a tiny, shimmering hand towards the crowd. The simple gesture seemed to break the tension, and several people moved closer, their faces softening as they gazed at the infant. Mrs. Thompson was the first to reach us. "May I?" she asked hesitantly, holding out her arms. With only a moment's hesitation, I handed her my child. As she cradled the infant, a look of wonder spread across her face. "Oh my," she breathed. I can feel its thoughts, so pure, so full of love." One by one, the townspeople came forward, each taking a turn to hold or touch the child. With each interaction, I could see the fear and uncertainty in their eyes giving way to something new, a spark of understanding, of connection. Jake, who had been observing quietly, finally spoke up. "It's not just the baby, is it? They're changing too." I nodded, feeling a surge of both pride and trepidation. The merger is still happening. My child is accelerating it, helping people adapt. Mike frowned, ever mindful of potential threats. Is it safe? This kind of rapid change? The overseer answered before I could. Change always carries risk. But the alternative, stagnation, conflict, eventual extinction, that was the greater danger. As the impromptu gathering continued, more people began to arrive. Some were clearly affected by the alien influence, while others appeared untouched. But as they mingled, shared experiences, and interacted with my child, the differences began to blur. I watched in amazement as lifelong enemies put aside their differences, finding common ground in their shared transformation. Old grudges dissolved as people literally saw into each other's minds, understanding motivations and feelings in a way never before possible. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. As the day wore on, we encountered pockets of resistance. Some refused to accept the change, barricading themselves in their homes or fleeing into the untouched wilderness beyond the town. We can't force them, I said firmly when the overseer suggested a more direct approach. This has to be a choice. Lisa, who had been helping to organize food and shelter for the gathered crowd, approached us with a concerned look. Sarah, we're getting reports of military units mobilizing. They're not all as understanding as the general we met on the ship. I felt a flutter of anxiety in my chest. We'd known this moment would come, but facing it was another matter entirely. We need to show them we're not a threat, I said, my mind racing. That this change is for the better. The overseer's form shimmered, its appearance becoming slightly more human-like. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. Over the next few hours, we worked together, humans, aliens, and hybrids, to showcase the potential of our merged technologies and abilities. We purified a nearby polluted lake in minutes, healed injuries with a touch, and demonstrated feats of mental connection that left even the most skeptical observers in awe. As night fell, we gathered around a bonfire in the center of the crater. The warmth of the flames mixed with the soft bioluminescence of the alien structures, creating an otherworldly, yet comforting atmosphere. I stood to address the assembled crowd, my child now sleeping peacefully in a makeshift cradle of merged human and alien materials. I know many of you are scared, I began, my voice carrying easily in the still night air. I was scared too. But what's happening to us, to our world? It's not an ending. It's a beginning. I gestured to the stars above, now seeming closer and more alive than ever before. We stand at the threshold of a new era. An era where the boundaries between us, human and alien, earth and stars, are dissolving. We have the chance to become something greater than we ever imagined. A murmur went through the crowd, a mix of excitement and apprehension. But it won't be easy, I continued, my voice taking on a note of steel. There will be those who resist, who cling to the old ways out of fear. We must be patient, understanding. We must show them, through our actions, that this new path is one of hope, not destruction. As I spoke, I felt a surge of energy from my hybrid child. The infant's eyes opened, glowing softly in the firelight, and a wave of emotion, love, unity, possibility, washed over the gathered crowd. I saw tears in many eyes, and felt them in my own. Together, I said, my voice thick with emotion, we will build a bridge to the stars, not as conquerors, not as the conquered, but as a new species born of both worlds. The overseer floated forward, its form now a harmonious blend of human and alien features. On behalf of my people, I pledge our knowledge, our technology, and our commitment to this new path. One by one, people stood, humans, aliens, and everything in between, and voiced their own pledges, to learn, to grow, to help shape this new reality. As the night deepened and plans were made for the days ahead, I found a quiet moment to stand at the edge of the crater. The town I had grown up in was forever changed, as was the entire world. But as I looked out at the merged landscape, feeling the pulse of alien technology beneath my feet and the vast potential of the cosmos in my mind, I felt a profound sense of hope. The invasion that we had feared had become something entirely different, a catalyst for change, for growth, for a future brighter than any of us could have imagined. I cradled my sleeping child, this living bridge between two worlds, and whispered a promise. We'll face whatever comes next together, all of us. As if in response, a shooting star streaked across the sky, a reminder of the vast frontier that now lay open before us. The future, with all its challenges and possibilities, awaited, and we were ready to embrace it. The weeks following the merger flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Our small town, once a quiet speck on the map, had become the epicenter of humanity's greatest transformation. The alien mothership, now permanently docked on the outskirts, served as both a beacon and a barrier, drawing the curious and the desperate while keeping at bay those who sought to interfere with our fledgling community. I stood atop a hill overlooking our changed landscape, my hybrid child strapped to my chest in a carrier that seamlessly blended human fabric with alien biotechnology. The being that was once the overseer, now simply calling itself Zar, hovered beside me, its form a constantly shifting blend of human and alien features. The human governments are growing restless, Zar observed, its mental voice tinged with concern. They fear what they do not understand. I nodded, watching as a group of newly transformed humans worked alongside alien beings to construct shelter using a mix of terrestrial materials and extraterrestrial tech. Can you blame them? We're rewriting the very nature of human existence. Before Zar could respond, Mike jogged up the hill towards us, his now slightly iridescent skin glistening with sweat. Sarah, we've got incoming. Military convoy, about 10 miles out. I sighed, feeling the weight of leadership settle more heavily on my shoulders. All right, let's go meet them. Peacefully. As we made our way down to the town's new perimeter, I marveled at how quickly we'd adapted to our new reality. Humans with various degrees of alien transformation moved with newfound grace and purpose. Alien structures pulsed with life, seamlessly integrated into the natural landscape. And everywhere, the air hummed with the constant, low-level telepathic chatter that had become our new normal. Lisa met us at the edge of town, her eyes, now with a distinct, starry quality, filled with worry. The perimeter shield is holding, but they're requesting entry. It's General Hawthorne. I remembered the general from our confrontation on the mothership. Let him in, I decided, but only him and 2 others. We'll meet in the community hall. As we waited for the general's arrival, I felt a surge of emotion from my child. Looking down, I saw its tiny hands reaching out, shimmering with energy. "What is it, little one?" I murmured. "What do you sense?" The baby cooed, sending a wave of images through our telepathic link. Flashes of potential futures, some bright with promise, others dark with conflict. I steeled myself, knowing that the coming conversation could tip the scales one way or the other. General Hawthorne arrived, flanked by 2 stern-faced aides. His eyes widened as he took in the transformed landscape and its inhabitants. "Ms. Cooper," he greeted me stiffly, "I see things have progressed since our last meeting." I nodded, gesturing towards the community hall. "They have, General. Please, let's talk inside." The interior of the hall was a marvel of merged architecture, living alien material intertwined with traditional human construction, creating a space that felt both familiar and utterly new. As we settled into our seats, I could sense the general's unease. "I'll cut to the chase," Hawthorne began. "The world governments are demanding answers. What exactly is happening here? And how do we know it's not a prelude to a full-scale invasion?" I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "What's happening here, General, is evolution. Not conquest, not invasion, but a merging of 2 species into something greater than the sum of its parts." Zar floated forward, its form stabilizing into something more humanoid. "Your fears are understandable, but misplaced. We came seeking survival, but we found partnership instead." One of the general's aides scoffed. "Partnership? You've transformed these people into what?" Lisa interjected, her voice sharp. More capable versions of themselves? Beings with a deeper understanding of the universe and their place in it? I held up a hand, silencing the growing argument. General, I understand your concerns, but look around you. We're not building weapons or fortifications. We're creating a sustainable community, one that could serve as a model for the rest of the world. Hawthorne's brow furrowed. And the changes to human physiology? This telepathy? As if on cue, my child let out a soft cry. The general's eyes were drawn to the infant, a mix of wonder and apprehension crossing his face. May I asked, gesturing towards him with the baby. After a moment's hesitation, Hawthorne nodded. I gently placed my child in his arms. The effect was immediate. The general's rigid posture softened, his eyes widening as he experienced the infant's telepathic touch. This is extraordinary, he whispered. This child represents our future, I explained softly. Human and alien Earth and stars all in one. The changes we're undergoing, they're not about erasing humanity. They're about expanding it, allowing us to reach our full potential. For several long moments, the room was silent save for the baby's contented gurgles. Then, with a deep sigh, General Hawthorne handed the child back to me. I can't pretend to fully understand what's happening here, he admitted. But I can see that it's not the threat we feared. He turned to his aides. Contact command. Tell them we need to reconsider our approach. A wave of relief washed over me, echoed by the gathered members of our community. But I knew this was just the beginning. General, I said, we don't want to hide away here. We want to help the world transition to share the benefits of this merger. But we need time, and we need protection. Hawthorne nodded slowly. A sanctuary, he mused. A place where this evolution can continue peacefully. He stood, straightening his uniform. I'll make the recommendation, but be prepared for more visitors, scientists, diplomats, the works. As the general and his aides prepared to leave, Tsar approached him. There is much your people could learn from ours, it offered, and much we could learn from you. Perhaps an exchange of knowledge? A ghost of a smile crossed Hawthorne's face. I think that could be arranged. After they departed, our core group remained in the hall, processing the implications of this new development. So, what now? Mike asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. I looked down at my child, then out at the transformed landscape visible through the hall's living windows. Now we build, we learn, we grow, and we prepare to share this gift with the world. Lisa nodded, her eyes shining with determination. We'll need to set up education programs, find ways to ease people into the transformation, and continue our research, Jake added excitedly. The potential applications of this merged technology are endless. As our group buzzed with ideas and plans, I felt a swell of emotion, hope, determination, and a touch of apprehension. The path ahead was uncharted, filled with challenges we could scarcely imagine. But looking around at this room full of transformed humans and reformed aliens, I knew we were ready to face whatever came next. Tomorrow, I announced, we start reaching out to other towns, other countries. We'll show them what's possible when we move beyond fear and embrace a new way of being. Tsar's form shimmered with approval. Together, we will bridge the gap between worlds and forge a path to the stars. As night fell over our sanctuary, I stood once more on the hilltop, my child sleeping peacefully against my chest. The alien mothership glowed softly in the distance, no longer a symbol of invasion but a beacon of hope. Stars twinkled overhead, somehow seeming closer and more alive than ever before. In that moment, gazing out at the merged landscape that represented our new reality, I felt a profound sense of purpose. We stood at the threshold of a new era for humanity, an era of exploration, growth, and unity on a cosmic scale. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever resistance we might face, I knew that we were ready. With the strength of two species combined and the limitless potential of the universe before us, there was nothing we couldn't achieve. The future, vast and bright, beckoned, and we were finally ready to answer its call. Years had passed since the day of the merger, and our sanctuary had grown from a small town into a thriving metropolis of human-alien cooperation. The once stark line between Earth architecture and alien technology had blurred into a seamless tapestry of innovation. Gleaming spires of living crystal intertwined with lush, terraformed gardens, while anti-gravity platforms ferried people and goods through the air. I stood on the balcony of the Unity Tower, the central hub of our community, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues that seemed more vivid since the merger. My child, no longer an infant but a young being of indeterminate age, stood beside me. We had named them Astra, for the starry depths of their eyes and the cosmic potential they represented. "Mother," Astra said, their voice carrying harmonics that resonated on multiple levels of perception, "the next wave of immigrants is arriving. Shall we greet them?" I nodded, feeling a mix of pride and apprehension. Each new group of humans choosing to undergo the transformation brought both hope and challenges. "Of course. Let's head to the Welcome Center." As we made our way through the city, I marveled at how much had changed, and yet how much remained familiar. Humans in various stages of transformation went about their daily lives alongside fully transformed individuals and our alien allies. The air hummed with both verbal and telepathic conversations, creating a rich tapestry of communication. At the Welcome Center, a repurposed section of the original mothership, we met up with Lisa and Mike. Though years had passed, they looked barely older than the day of the merger, their transformed physiology slowing the aging process. "Big group this time," Mike reported, his eyes flickering with data as he accessed the city's information network through his enhanced senses. "Over 1,000 from all over the world." Lisa nodded, her starry eyes filled with empathy. "Many of them are scared. The anti-transformation movements have been spreading more propaganda." I sighed, feeling the weight of leadership. "Then we'll just have to show them the truth of what we've built here." As the new arrivals filed into the vast atrium, I could sense their mix of emotions: fear, hope, curiosity, and determination. Many looked around in awe at the merged architecture and the diverse crowd of greeters. I stepped forward, Astra at my side, and addressed the group. "Welcome to Unity City. I know many of you have traveled far, leaving behind everything familiar. You've heard stories, seen reports, and probably encountered no small amount of fear-mongering. But you're here because something inside you knows that humanity is meant for more." A murmur went through the crowd. A middle-aged woman near the front spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. "But is it safe? We've heard about people losing themselves, becoming something else." Astra stepped forward, their presence immediately captivating the newcomers. "You don't lose yourself," they said, their voice carrying the wisdom of both species. "You find parts of yourself you never knew existed. The merger doesn't erase who you are, it expands it." To demonstrate, Astra projected a series of images into the minds of the gathered crowd, flashes of life in Unity City, the advancements we'd made, the sense of connection and purpose that permeated our society. A young man gasped, his eyes wide. I felt that, in my mind. How?" I smiled reassuringly. "That's just a taste of what's possible. The merger enhances your natural abilities, including latent psychic potential most humans never access. But it's a gradual process, and you have control every step of the way." As we began the orientation process, guiding the newcomers through the initial stages of integration, I felt a familiar presence approach. Zar, the former overseer, now one of our most valued council members, floated into the atrium. "Sarah," Zar's mental voice carried a note of urgency. "We've received a transmission from the deep space outposts. You need to see this." Excusing myself, I followed Zar to a private communication chamber. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a sector of space far beyond our solar system. Strange energy patterns pulsed across the starfield. "What am I looking at?" I asked, trying to make sense of the swirling data. Zar's form shimmered with excitement and a touch of apprehension. "It's a signal, similar to the one that first brought my people to Earth, but different, more complex." I felt a chill run down my spine. Another alien species? Possibly, or perhaps... Zar hesitated. Perhaps it's from others like us, other merged societies. The implications were staggering. Were we not alone in our evolutionary journey? Had other worlds undergone similar transformations? Before I could fully process this, an alert chimed. Mike's voice came through the communication system. "Sarah, we've got a situation at the southern perimeter. A group of anti-transformation protesters has breached the outer defenses." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. The wider world was still struggling to accept the changes we represented. "I'm on my way. Zar, gather the council. We need to discuss this signal and decide our next steps." As I hurried to the perimeter, Astra fell into step beside me. "I'm coming with you," they stated. Not a request, but a declaration. I wanted to protest, to protect them, but I knew better. Astra was more than capable, and their presence often had a calming effect on even the most agitated individuals. We arrived at the southern gate to find a tense standoff. A group of protesters carrying signs with slogans like "Keep Humanity Pure" and "Earth for Humans" faced off against our security team. The protesters looked fully human, their faces contorted with fear and anger. "Go back to the stars, freaks," one man shouted, his voice cracking with emotion. I stepped forward, hands raised in a gesture of peace. "We're not your enemies. We're still human, just evolved. Please, let's talk about this." A woman at the front of the group scoffed. "Talk? While you contaminate more people with your alien filth? We've seen the reports. People going in human and coming out wrong." Astra moved to stand beside me, their presence immediately drawing all eyes. Wrong? Or simply different? Change can be frightening, but it can also be beautiful. With a gentle mental touch, Astra began to project images and sensations to the protesters. The wonder of seeing the universe through enhanced senses, the joy of connecting mind to mind with loved ones, the sense of purpose that came with being part of something greater than oneself. Some of the protesters recoiled, but others stood transfixed. I could see the conflict in their eyes, fear warring with curiosity. "This is who we are now," I said softly. "Not conquerors, not victims, but pioneers. We're reaching for the stars not to escape our humanity, but to fulfill its potential." A young protester stepped forward, lowering his sign. "But what about our families, our history, everything that makes us who we are?" I smiled, remembering my own fears from what seemed like a lifetime ago. "We don't lose any of that. We carry it with us, honor it, and build upon it. The merger doesn't erase our past, it opens up our future." Slowly, the tension began to ease. Some protesters remained defiant, but others began to ask questions, their curiosity overcoming their fear. As we engaged in dialogue, I felt a glimmer of hope. This was how progress was made. One conversation, one mind at a time. As the sun set on another day in Unity City, I stood once again on the balcony of the Unity Tower. Astra was by my side, both of us contemplating the challenges and possibilities that lay ahead. "The signal from deep space," Astra mused, their voice thoughtful. "What do you think it means for us?" I gazed up at the stars, now seemingly closer and more alive than ever before. "I think it means our journey is far from over. We've taken the first steps, but the universe is vast. There's so much more to explore, to learn, to become." Astra nodded, their eyes reflecting the starlight. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. All of us." As if in response to their words, a shooting star streaked across the sky. In that moment, I felt a profound sense of connection to my child, to our merged community, and to the cosmic tapestry we were now part of. The future, with all its unknowns, beckoned, and we were ready to answer its call, to continue our evolution among the stars. The grand amphitheater of Unity City buzzed with anticipation. Representatives from every corner of the globe had gathered for this momentous occasion. After years of careful diplomacy and gradual integration, we were ready to reveal ourselves fully to the world. I stood backstage, my heart racing despite my enhanced physiology. Astra, now appearing as a young adult, placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "You've prepared for this, Mother," they said, their voice a soothing harmony of tones. "The world is ready." I nodded, taking a deep breath. I hope you're right. There's still so much fear out there. Zar floated nearby, its form a shimmering blend of human and alien features. Fear is natural in the face of change, but so is hope. Focus on that. With a final nod to my supporters, I stepped out onto the stage. The amphitheater fell silent, all eyes fixed on me. Cameras broadcasted the event globally, and I knew billions were watching. "Greetings, citizens of Earth," I began, my voice steady. "My name is Sarah Cooper, and I stand before you today as a bridge between two worlds." I paused, letting my gaze sweep across the diverse audience. Humans in various stages of transformation sat alongside those who remained unaltered, a living testament to the choice we offered. Years ago, we faced what we thought was an invasion. Instead, it became an opportunity, a chance to evolve, to reach beyond the limitations we once thought defined us. Holographic displays sprang to life around the amphitheater, showcasing the advancements we'd made. Medical breakthroughs that cured once incurable diseases, environmental technologies that were reversing climate change, and educational systems that allowed direct knowledge transfer. "This is not about erasing humanity," I continued, my voice passionate. "It's about expanding it. We stand on the threshold of a new era, one where the stars are no longer distant points of light but potential homes." A murmur went through the crowd. I could sense the mix of awe and apprehension. From the corner of my eye, I saw Astra step forward, right on cue. "Some of you may wonder what this transformation means for our children, for future generations," I said, gesturing to Astra. "This is my child, born of both human and alien heritage. They represent not the end of humanity, but its next chapter." Astra addressed the audience, their presence immediately captivating. "I am the future you fear, and the hope you dare not embrace. I am human and alien, Earth and stars, and I am not alone." With that, Astra projected a series of images into the minds of everyone present. Flashes of life in Unity City, the sense of connection and purpose that permeated our society, and glimpses of the vast cosmic wonders we were beginning to explore. Gasps echoed through the amphitheater. Even those who had been skeptical were visibly moved by the direct mental communication. I stepped forward again. "What you've just experienced is a taste of what's possible. The merger enhances our natural abilities, including latent psychic potential. But it's a gradual process, and above all, it's a choice." As I opened the floor for questions, hands shot up across the amphitheater. I nodded to a stern-faced woman in the front row. "Dr. Elena Rossi, World Health Organization," she introduced herself. "How can you assure us that this transformation is safe? What are the long-term effects?" I appreciated her directness. "Excellent question, Dr. Rossi. We've been conducting extensive studies over the years. While the transformation does alter human physiology, it does so in ways that enhance health and longevity. We've seen no negative long-term effects. In fact, many age-related diseases simply disappear." To illustrate, I projected data charts showing the health outcomes of transformed individuals compared to the general population. The difference was stark. Another hand rose, this time from a young man with worried eyes. "But what about our humanity, our cultures, our traditions? Won't we lose what makes us us?" Astra stepped forward to answer this one. Our humanity isn't defined by our limitations, but by our capacity for growth, for love, for wonder. The merger doesn't erase our cultures, it adds to them. We carry our histories with us as we step into the future. They projected another series of images, transformed humans celebrating traditional holidays, creating art that blended ancient techniques with new perceptions, families bonding through deeper, empathic connections. The questions continued, ranging from practical concerns about the logistics of global transformation to philosophical debates about the nature of consciousness. We answered each as honestly and thoroughly as we could. As the session was winding down, a commotion near the back of the amphitheater caught my attention. A group of people were pushing their way forward, their faces contorted with anger. "Liars!" one man shouted, his voice cracking with emotion. "You're destroying humanity!" Security moved to intercept them, but I held up a hand. "Wait, let them speak." The group, about a dozen strong, reached the front of the stage. Their leader, a middle-aged woman with fierce eyes, pointed an accusing finger at me. "You claim to offer choice, but you're changing the very fabric of our world," she spat. "How can we choose to remain human when everything around us is becoming alien?" I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her fear and anger. "I understand your concerns," I said softly. "Change is frightening, especially when it's happening on such a massive scale. But remaining static in an evolving universe, that's not a viable option either." Astra moved to stand beside me, their presence a calm counterpoint to the protesters' agitation. "We are not erasing humanity," they said, their voice resonating on multiple levels. "We are helping it grow. The universe is vast, filled with wonders and dangers beyond our current comprehension. We need to evolve not just to explore, but to survive." The woman faltered, the certainty in her eyes wavering. But how can we trust this? How do we know you won't just take over?" I smiled gently. "Because that was never the goal. Look around you." I gestured to the diverse crowd, to the representatives from nations across the globe. "We're not hiding. We're not forcing anyone. We're inviting you to join us in shaping the future." As if on cue, Zar floated forward, its form shifting to appear more human-like. "I was once your enemy," it said, its mental voice reaching everyone in the amphitheater. "I came to your world seeking resources, seeing humans as little more than raw material. But through Sarah, through the merger, I learned the true potential of your species. We are stronger together than we ever were apart." A hush fell over the crowd as Zar's words sank in. I could sense the shift in the emotional atmosphere, fear giving way to curiosity, hostility softening into cautious hope. The protester who had spoken looked conflicted, her anger warring with a growing sense of wonder. I don't know what to think anymore," she admitted. I stepped down from the stage, approaching her slowly. "That's okay," I said softly. "You don't have to decide everything right now. We're offering a journey, not a destination. Take your time. Ask questions. See for yourself what we've built." As the tension in the amphitheater eased, I felt a familiar mental nudge from Zar. Sarah, the deep space signal. It's changing. I nodded imperceptibly, knowing we'd have to address this new development soon. But for now, this moment of connection, of potential understanding between transformed and untransformed humans, was too precious to interrupt. As the sun began to set, casting the amphitheater in a warm glow, I returned to the stage for some closing remarks. "Today marks not an ending, but a beginning," I said, my voice carrying to every corner of the vast space and beyond, to the billions watching around the world. We stand at a crossroads of cosmic significance. The path ahead is uncertain, filled with challenges we can scarcely imagine. But it's also brimming with potential, with the promise of a future brighter than we ever dared to dream. I gestured to Astra, to Zar, to the diverse crowd before me. This is not about becoming alien. It's about becoming more connected, more aware, more capable of facing whatever the universe has in store. Together we can build a future that honors our past while reaching for the stars. As my words faded, a sense of possibility seemed to hang in the air. The world had seen us, heard us, and now faced a choice that would shape the destiny of our species. Whatever came next, be it the gradual acceptance of our merged society, the challenges of global transformation, or the mysteries hinted at by that deep space signal, we would face it together, human and alien, Earth and stars, united in our journey towards a cosmic future. The sun dipped below the horizon, and as if on cue, the stars seemed to shine brighter than ever before. A new chapter in human history had begun, and the universe itself seemed to be watching with bated breath. The command center of Unity City hummed with nervous energy. Holographic displays filled the air, showing a kaleidoscope of data streams and real-time footage from our deep space outposts. At the center of it all stood a projection of the signal that had been occupying our attention for weeks, a pulsing, multi-dimensional pattern that seemed to defy conventional analysis. I stood before the main display, my enhanced mind racing to process the information. Astra was by my side, their eyes reflecting the swirling data. Zar hovered nearby, its form flickering with agitation. The signal's strength has increased by 200% in the last hour, Jake reported, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. Whatever it is, it's getting closer. Lisa, her starry eyes narrowed in concentration, added, and it's not just one signal anymore. We're detecting similar patterns from multiple vectors. I felt a chill run down my spine. A coordinated approach? Zar's mental voice was tinged with awe and a hint of fear. In all my species' travels, we never encountered anything like this. It's beyond our understanding. Mike, who had been coordinating with our global defense networks, spoke up. Sarah, the world governments are demanding answers. They're scared, and scared people do stupid things. I nodded, feeling the weight of leadership more heavily than ever. Patch me through to the Global Council. It's time we all got on the same page. As the faces of world leaders flickered into view around the room, I took a deep breath. Many looked sleep-deprived and anxious. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, I know you're all seeking answers. The truth is, we're facing something unprecedented. These signals appear to be of intelligent origin, far more advanced than anything we, human or alien, have encountered before. The President of the United States, her face lined with worry, spoke first. Are we looking at an invasion? Should we be preparing our defenses? I shook my head. We don't believe so. The signals don't match any known attack patterns. They seem to be an invitation. A murmur went through the assembled leaders. The Chinese premier leaned forward, his eyes sharp. An invitation to what exactly? Before I could answer, Astra stepped forward. Their presence immediately commanded attention, even through the holographic projections. To evolve, Astra said, their voice resonating with a depth that belied their youthful appearance. These signals, they're not just communication, they're a catalyst. With a gesture, Astra expanded the central hologram, showing how the signals were interacting with the fabric of space-time itself. The merger between humans and our alien allies was just the first step, they continued. These signals are offering us a chance to take the next leap, to transcend our current form and join a greater cosmic community. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was the President of Kenya who finally broke the silence, her voice filled with a mix of wonder and apprehension. You're saying we could become... what? Energy beings? Gods? Zar floated into view of the projections. Not gods, it clarified, but something beyond our current comprehension. A state of existence where the boundaries between matter, energy, and consciousness blur. I could see the fear and excitement warring in the eyes of the world leaders. The Russian president, his face a mask of skepticism, spoke next. And we're supposed to just trust this? To willingly give up our physical forms based on some alien light show? I understood his hesitation. It was one thing to merge with a tangible alien species. It was another entirely to leap into an unknown state of existence. "We're not asking anyone to do anything blindly," I assured them. "We propose sending a small exploratory team to make first contact, to learn more before we make any decisions that would affect all of humanity." The room erupted in a cacophony of voices, each leader trying to argue for or against the proposal. I let it continue for a moment before raising my hand for silence. "I understand your concerns," I said, my voice calm but firm. "This is arguably the most important decision our species has ever faced, but we don't have the luxury of endless debate. Those signals are getting stronger, and they're affecting our reality in ways we're only beginning to understand." Astra nodded, adding, "Already we're seeing increased psychic sensitivity in transformed individuals, spontaneous instances of matter manipulation. The barrier between thought and reality is starting to thin." The German chancellor, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. "Who would go on this exploratory mission? And how can we be sure they'd return?" I took a deep breath, knowing my next words would change everything. "I will go," I said firmly, "along with Astra Czar and a small team of volunteers from both transformed and untransformed populations." The room exploded into chaos again. Mike stepped forward, his face a mask of concern. "Sarah, you can't be serious. We need you here." I placed a hand on his shoulder, feeling the tremor of emotion running through him. "This is where I need to be, Mike. Where we need to be. Humanity took its first steps into a larger universe with our merger. Now it's time to see just how far that path leads." Lisa moved to stand beside me, her eyes shimmering with determination. "I'm going too. Someone needs to keep a scientific record of whatever we find out there." As the world leaders argued amongst themselves, Astra addressed them once more. "We're not asking for permission," they said, their voice carrying an undercurrent of power that silenced the room. "We're extending an invitation to witness the next step in our cosmic evolution." The Chinese premier, his face a mixture of awe and resignation, spoke for many when he said, "It seems we have little choice. The universe is calling, and you are our best hope of understanding its message." Over the next few hours, we hashed out the details of the mission. A team of 12 was assembled, a mix of transformed humans, untransformed scientists and military personnel, and our alien allies. The world watched with bated breath as we made our preparations. As the day of departure dawned, I stood on the launch pad of our newly constructed cosmic portal. The device, a marvel of merged human-alien technology, hummed with potential energy. Our team gathered around, each face a mask of determination and barely contained excitement. Astra stood beside me, their form already beginning to shimmer with anticipation of the journey ahead. "Are you ready, Mother?" they asked, their voice carrying layers of emotion. I nodded, feeling a mix of fear and exhilaration. "As ready as I'll ever be. Whatever lies beyond those signals, we'll face it together." Czar, its form now a swirling mass of energy barely contained in humanoid shape, joined us. "The cosmos awaits," it said, its mental voice filled with wonder. "Our journey of evolution continues." As the portal sprang to life, creating a swirling vortex of cosmic energy, I turned to address the cameras broadcasting our departure to the world. "People of Earth," I said, my voice steady despite the gravity of the moment, "we go now into the unknown, carrying with us the hopes and dreams of our entire species. Whatever we find out there, know that it is but the next step in our grand cosmic journey. Stay curious, stay brave, and keep looking to the stars. We'll be back with answers." With a final nod to my team, we stepped forward into the swirling portal. The familiar world of Unity City dissolved around us, replaced by a rush of sensations beyond description. We were on our way to meet the architects of those mysterious signals, to witness firsthand the next stage of cosmic evolution. As we hurtled through dimensions beyond human comprehension, I felt a profound sense of destiny. Whatever awaited us on the other side of this journey would change not just humanity, but the very nature of existence as we knew it. The universe, vast and wondrous, had extended its hand, and we, children of earth and stars, were reaching out to grasp it. The air crackled with otherworldly energy as I stood before the assembled masses of our hybrid society. Humans, aliens, and everything in between gazed up at me with a mixture of fear, hope, and awe. My child, now a being of immense power and wisdom, despite their youthful appearance, stood by my side. "The time has come," I announced, my voice carrying across the vast chamber. "We face an enemy that threatens not just our world, but all of existence. To survive, we must evolve beyond our current forms." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A familiar face pushed forward, Sarah, one of the first to join our hidden sanctuary years ago. Though aged now, her eyes still held the same determination I remembered. "What exactly are you proposing?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. My child stepped forward, their voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "We must undertake the transcendence ritual. It will allow us to shed our physical forms and become beings of pure energy." Gasps and exclamations filled the chamber. I raised my hand for silence. "I know this sounds impossible, even terrifying," I said, "but it's our only hope. The enemy we face consumes entire planets, entire civilizations. In our current forms, we stand no chance." A man in a military uniform, General Chen, our liaison with Earth's defensive forces, stepped forward. "And what guarantee do we have that this ritual won't just kill us all?" My child's eyes glowed with an inner light. "There are no guarantees, General, but I have seen the futures that await us. This is our only path to survival." I nodded, adding, "We're not forcing anyone to participate. Those who wish to remain in physical form will be protected as best we can. But for those willing to take the leap, to evolve into something greater, this is our moment." The chamber erupted in discussion. I could see the fear, the uncertainty in their eyes. But I also saw hope and a steely resolve that had carried us through so much already. As the debate raged, I felt a familiar presence in my mind. My child's consciousness brushed against mine, sharing visions of the ritual to come. I saw our bodies dissolving into light, our minds expanding to encompass the vastness of the cosmos. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Hours passed as we answered questions, soothed fears, and made preparations. Finally, as the first light of dawn broke through the chamber's windows, we were ready. Thousands had chosen to participate, forming a vast circle in the center of the chamber. Those who chose to remain in physical form watched from the sidelines, tears in their eyes as they bid farewell to loved ones. My child and I took our positions at the heart of the circle. The alien artifacts we had recovered over the years hummed with power, forming a complex geometric pattern around us. "Remember," I said, my voice carrying to every corner of the chamber, "once we begin, there's no turning back. Focus on the person next to you, on the connections that bind us all. Let go of your fear, your doubt. Embrace the energy that flows through every living thing." I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of this moment. Everything we had endured, the terror of my impossible pregnancy, the battles against the alien invaders, the years of building our hidden society, it had all led to this. "Now," I whispered, and my child's power surged through the artifacts. The ritual began with a soft hum that quickly grew to a deafening roar. I felt my body growing lighter, my senses expanding beyond the confines of flesh and bone. Around me, I could see others beginning to glow, their physical forms blurring at the edges. "I'm scared," someone whispered near me. I reached out, not with a hand, but with my very essence. "We're in this together," I reassured them, my voice no longer coming from my mouth, but resonating directly in their mind. The chamber filled with light, so bright it should have been blinding, yet I could perceive everything with perfect clarity. I saw Sarah, her aged body falling away like a discarded cloak, revealing a radiant core of pure energy. General Chen, his military bearing giving way to an expression of wonder as he felt his consciousness expanding. My child's voice echoed through us all, guiding us through the transformation. Let go of your earthly tethers. You are more than flesh and blood. You are stardust and cosmic energy, as old as the universe itself. I felt my own transformation accelerating. My memories, the terror of my alien pregnancy, the battles we'd fought, the love I'd found in our hidden sanctuary, they didn't disappear but rather became part of a vast tapestry of experience. As the last vestiges of our physical forms faded away, I became aware of a new presence. The enemy had arrived, their vast consciousness pressing against the boundaries of our world. They're here, I communicated to the others. Are we ready? The response came not in words, but in a surge of collective will. We rose as one, a unified force of cosmic energy, and met our foe in the space between worlds. The battle that followed defied description in human terms. We clashed on levels of reality I hadn't known existed, wielding forces that could reshape the fabric of space-time itself. I felt the enemy's hunger, their mindless drive to consume and destroy. But I also felt our strength, the combined will of thousands of evolved beings fighting for survival. Reality itself seemed to buckle under the strain of our conflict. I saw rifts opening in space-time, glimpses of other worlds, other possibilities. Through it all, I felt my child's presence, their power growing to match the cosmic scale of our battle. As the conflict reached its peak, I heard my child's voice not with my ears, but with the very core of my being. Mother, they said, we need to go further. I understood instantly what they meant, and it filled me with both awe and terror. Are you sure? I asked, even as I felt the rightness of it. It's the only way, they replied. Together, we can end this cycle of destruction and rebirth. We can reshape reality itself. In that moment, I let go of the last shred of my individual identity. My child and I merged completely, our energies intertwining until there was no separation between us. We became something new, something that transcended the boundaries of what I had thought possible. With our combined power, we reached out to the enemy, but instead of attacking, we offered understanding. We showed them the beauty of creation, the joy of existence beyond mere consumption. And slowly, incredibly, we felt their hunger subside. As the battle ended, not with destruction but with transformation, I felt our new self expanding, encompassing the vastness of the cosmos. We saw the universe in all its intricate beauty and knew what we had to do. With a thought, we began to reshape reality. We seeded new worlds with the potential for life, guided the evolution of consciousness across countless galaxies. We became gardeners of existence itself, nurturing the cosmic ecosystem. And as we worked, I felt the cycle beginning anew. Somewhere, on a small blue planet, circling an unremarkable star, the first stirrings of life were taking hold. The great wheel of existence turned once more, with us as its new caretakers. In that eternal moment, I understood that our journey, my impossible pregnancy, our struggles, our transcendence, had been just the beginning. The true adventure of cosmic existence stretched out before us, infinite in its possibilities.